championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Plot twist. Indianapolis Colts did not cut anybody yesterday. People started cutting themselves. Retirements all over the place. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Thursday. We got football later on tonight. Mark Dykton, good morning. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. You guys are both out at Colts camp yesterday. KB, we'll start with you. Just go ahead and deliver. If people haven't paid attention or just getting up this morning, deliver the big news out of Colts camp yesterday.
Yeah, Xavier Howard has retired from the NFL. That was announced yesterday evening. He was not practicing yesterday due to a personal matter is what it was listed at. And then, I don't know, probably an hour or two later, the Colts announced that he was going on the reserve retired list. He released a statement a little bit later after that. We can get into his statement and everything. So, yeah, certainly quite the news item. You don't see retirements in season very often in the NFL. Yeah, I think I've made my stance pretty clear on the level of play Xavier Howard had through the first 4 games. I don't feel the need to, reverse the car over him here on this Thursday morning. In his statement, he mentioned, being with his family, et cetera, things like that. So certainly now we'll see how the Colts try to, figure out their cornerback depth. But, I guess big picture, the Colts just should have vetted this a little bit more and not handed him a starting job day one when he walked into the building. But outside of that, predicting retirements and things like that probably is difficult.
All right, so he's decided to walk away from the game that I'm sure he loved. He said his family was more important. We'll get to some of that throughout the course of the show, but he was not the only retirement announcement yesterday, James Boy. We have more to share today.
Yeah, this was just after our show ended, I believe, when the team sent out the announcement that Shaq Leonard, the Maniac, will officially retire as a Colt. He will return to Lucas Oil Stadium and have a ceremony, I believe, during halftime. We'll meet with him as far as the media goes before the game, and so looking forward to seeing Shaq back here. I know when things ended, he was hurt by how he was waived by the team, but at that point, he was not the great player that he once was. But, I believe Zaire Franklin was asked yesterday, is this one of those what-if type of careers, considering the Hall of Fame trajectory he was on before the injuries? And Zaire said no. He gave everything he had to the game, which I don't doubt for a second, and we'll hear more from Shaq in a couple of days. But, yeah, that was, I think, a fitting end for someone who should be, in my opinion, probably headed towards the Ring of Honor someday.
James, I did want to ask you one question on Xavier Howard in regards to the locker room on Sunday. We didn't see him at all in the building, of course, yesterday. It's not like he's a frequent necessarily locker room, walker arounder and chatting every Wednesday to the media. But you did chat with him, correct, Sunday after the game, right?
Yes.
In the locker room. Care to share what that experience was like?
Yeah, first of all, he was not trying to talk to us. He was trying to get out the door, and we were like, wait a second, you got to talk, man. Like, you had a pretty poor game, and we've been waiting to talk to you, and you're trying to skate. And so I could tell, the bags were packed, and he's just looking to say anything to get away from us. And so the question that still kind of rings in my head when I asked him, can you assess your performance? And he simply said, not to my ability. And so that kind of stands out to me as we sit here a couple of days later and realize, oh, your career is now over. So I know he gave a lot of statements about his family, his kids, but I do wonder how much of his level of play factored into that decision and how abrupt it was. Because, again, you can think about your kids and your future and your family, all of that leading up to signing a contract with the Colts. And so you came here, you were feeling good. I think after week 1, I went to his Instagram page. He had posted, this basically video of him after the game, hugging with all the former Dolphins players, perhaps feeling vindicated that he won that game, had a fumble recovery in that game, but then it went downhill from there for Xavier Howard. So poor play, plus him wanting to be with his family, led to him, I would imagine, retiring.
So Xavier Howard has retired. Shaq Leonard says he's retired from the NFL. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Kevin, I know you and I were in the press box together back when Shaq was just doing his thing, coming into the league as a rookie and making an instant impact. And just the range that he had, the hustle, and the big playability, just always punching at footballs, always around the football, jumping up and grabbing an interception, jumping up and tapping some football away. Like those first couple of years before the injury set in, It was electric to watch him play on a football field.
Yeah, that's a word that I used all yesterday, and I don't think we talk about linebackers very much from an electricity meter, if you will, but he was that. I mean, how many big plays in the fourth quarters, too? Not just like, hey, you're forcing a turnover. I could think of just moments where the Colts had allowed, a touchdown and 2 touchdowns in a row, and you're like, gosh, unless Leonard makes a play, they're screwed. Sure enough, 53 makes a play. The interceptions, the forced fumbles, obviously the punch-out. And boy, you think he'll bring some juice to the old anvil coming up on Sunday? I think he'll be a little bit more energetic than maybe Edgerrin James was in week 1, banging the old anvil there. We'll get to Zaire Franklin told a great story yesterday in the locker room about Shaq and him being roommates on the road, and Leonard had an 18-tackle game in his first ever NFL road game, and let's just say his sleeping arrangements the previous night, not ideal. For an NFL football player, not ideal for anyone for that matter. So I think this is really cool. Like the Leonard thing ended awkwardly. It ended suddenly. It ended mid-season. James, it was the day of, if I'm not mistaken, the day of his Thanksgiving meal delivery. I can remember being over near Covenant Christian High School, and he stood in front of those cameras with his wife right there and answered everything about what had just transpired. And this is a guy that was on a Hall of Fame pathway with 4 All-Pros in his first 4 seasons. So great for the Colts, great on the Colts, I should say, great on Shaq Leonard for this happening. Not everybody can go in the Ring of Honor, but I think it's a really cool way to honor a player that I think was
Is he
beloved.
a Ring of Honor guy?
No, I think you need some longevity with it. I'm a big believer when you talk Hall of Fame, when you talk Ring of Honor, I think there's a longevity component
That's fair.
that's needed. But, don't get me wrong, a great, great football player. I want to be really clear on that. And I think this is cool. You get him in front of the crowd and, again, bang the anvil. And, for 4 seasons here, he was a world of a talent. It's just unbelievable. So kudos to everybody involved for making this happen. And in a game that probably lacks a little bit of juice, Shaq Leonard will provide some of that.
Let me ask you guys this question about Shaq Leonard and the ring. From 2015 to now, 10-year period, name me the defender that has had more of an impact when he played than Shaq Leonard with the Colts.
Oh, well, probably none. I mean, yeah.
I think that's.
Buckner,
I hear your
know.
longevity, but I also, like I said, those. I know it was only 3.5 years, maybe 4 if you stretch it out. Like he was the guy that was the making the plays. He was making game deciding plays. He was making impacts almost every week.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it. I'm always leaning more towards your peak. How good were you at your peak? And it was a very short peak, considering that I would imagine he wanted to play longer than that. But I certainly see us even in the text line. Shane H says, he does not belong in the Ring of Honor, and I can see both sides of it. But nevertheless, great player and really a good person too. He was crazy as far as with the media. The first guy I ever got yelled at in the NFL was Shaq Leonard.
He yelled at me, "You don't bleed blue," at one point.
Yeah.
You don't bleed blue, Kevin.
I think he told me to keep that same energy after they beat the Chiefs in 2022. And I can say this now, but did you see how the season went? The energy was not kept the same for the rest of that group. That was a rough season for them, but nevertheless, he was someone who will hold you accountable. He DM'd me one time on Twitter to yell at me about something, and then he apologized later that week about it. So he was a very emotional guy, but also, I enjoyed it. I like people who bring their issues straight to you. So you certainly didn't have to guess where you stood with Shaq. And to give him credit, whenever he was away from the facility, he wasn't really liked. I think that was just a different side of him, because when I saw him the day he got cut at that Thanksgiving giveaway, the man, after that, he just talked to us like regular people and was asking what was going on.
I'll always be struck by that day, James. And
I think
just
he was relieved,
he handled
honestly.
Everything. And obviously, physically, he was dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
I frankly thought he should have taken the rest of the year off. He joined the Eagles for a couple weeks. Unfortunately, it didn't go well there. He was I don't know if you saw that, he was at the Fever game the other night, sitting, I think it was actually right behind Obi Toppin, with his girl. So it was, he's not living here, but it was cool to see, him obviously still has a lot of affinity. And if you follow him on Twitter during Colts games, he's tweeting during games.
Yeah.
And he's still very much involved in it.
Well, it's going to be fun to talk about him, and always been great in the community. But, yeah, a couple of retirement announcements yesterday out of West 56th. One, obviously, Shaq Leonard has really not played for a bit and wants to retire as a Colt. But the other one, Xavier Howard's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm just done. We were all talking about whether or not he should be benched, whether he should be playing. Next thing you know, he's like, yeah, I'm out. So I always kind of respect that when a guy's like, yeah, I'm out.
Kevin, you want to explain your shirt this morning? That's a Cubs shirt you're wearing. Did you lose a bet that we did not make? What's going on there? I'm very confused about your wardrobe decision today.
Mark, amidst our roller coaster of a relationship, I call you a friend, and I'm here to support you today.
Okay. I don't know if we want your bad juju jumping over here to the north side.
Here I am, trying to be supportive. And are you not accepting it?
Your just
Cubs
very confused.
are in a game today where they have to win to keep their season alive.
Mm-hmm.
My Reds today are hungover. They are off to Cabo. They stink. They've been dead for a month. The Mets were just deader than them. The only wildcard team not to advance to a third game, the Reds.
I'm trying to
They
think.
got steamrolled once again last night by the Dodgers. So here I am, Mark, trying to support you. That's purely what I'm doing. Just trying to be a good friend.
Trying to think of the word that happened to the Reds. They didn't win a game in the series, meaning they got, what would be that word? They got swept out of the playoffs?
I thought
it was only a 2-game series, though. I know you're very finicky.
Yeah, I remember
You're very
this.
finicky about the 2 games thing.
Yes.
But that seems like that's a sweep, my friend.
Great point.
I was hoping for some relevant, maybe Rick Carlisle audio to describe one career of Tristan Thompson of maybe the Reds in the preseason or Reds in the.
It was fun while it lasted.
I got you, buddy.
You could probably play that for maybe Xavier Howard's time with the Colts.
So the Reds get swept out of the playoffs in 2 games. So it is possible to have a 2-game sweep, apparently. So Kevin needs to update his
I would
dictionary.
think that over the years,
And now
the
he's
Cubs know all
wearing a
about
Cubs
those
shirt,
things.
thinking he's just going to hop on the bandwagon. A team
I'm supporting a
he
friend.
has peed on verbally all season long. Now you want to jump aboard the bandwagon. We don't want your bad juju.
Man.
I think you could go throw on the Dodgers shirt or something like the Tigers or the Guardians. Your money's no good here. You're not allowed on this Cubs bandwagon all of a sudden. I don't know where that shirt came from. I have lot of questions. Is that a purchased shirt? Did you borrow it from a friend?
Came from the closet. I think it looks pretty good, does it not? I don't see a lot of wrinkles on it.
I'm just curious.
Fits
I mean,
well.
I don't own any Reds apparel.
Not a lot of things in the closet fit very well these days for me. So,
Mark, all I know is apparently I'm not the only PCA fan around here.
I was going to say, you don't like Jeff's PCA, but you seem
I'm
to like the Cubs.
supporting Mark. I'm not a Cubs fan. I'm here to support Mark.
Boy, the bad juju that is vibing in this studio this early in
James
the morning.
wants nothing to do with any of this.
I mean, I'm just disgusted looking at it.
I mean,
I'm disgusted with the Reds. I mean, think about it. Yesterday, you see all these teams, backs against their wall, they deliver. We get 3 game threes today. Exactly what you want. The only team not to stretch it to a game 4. And outside of their...
they had to adjust the start times for the games because the Reds couldn't show up.
There I am, Max Bones, whining, I can't sleep, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting next to his bed watching the Reds game at 12:01, thinking somehow in the 8th inning, TJ Friedel strikes out with the bases loaded. I mean, this is just...
Tying run came to the plate.
This stinks. Same thing in the 6th. Bases loaded, no outs. Just pathetic.
Yeah, you're playing against a team with like a $7 billion payroll.
Well, their bullpen stinks, and the Reds couldn't touch it.
Well, I expect you to announce the Cubs lineup later today and who's the starting pitcher. I'm assuming you're going to have all that knowledge readily available to you since you're Mr. Cub all of a sudden.
Yesterday,
is that Ernie Banks or is that Kevin Bowen here,
seemingly,
Mr. Cub?
whoever the
Wow.
Padres threw out there, they did a nice job against your
Yeah,
Cubs.
they did.
Uh-huh.
All right, we'll tell you all about
Well, now
it
your
coming
Cubs too, apparently.
up in a moment. These
Thank
guys
you.
will
Brian's asking me if I'd like to join the Guardians train. Brian, we'll see. Again, I'm supporting my friend. It's disappointing to hear him not be accepting of that.
All right, we'll talk all about it throughout the morning here. Let these two bicker back and forth during the break. James wisely staying out of it over there. It's the Fan Morning Show, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Down on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, we've been talking about it for a few minutes this morning. If you're just joining us, a couple of announcement retirements from Colts camp yesterday. One makes a lot of sense. The other one, you're like, well, it makes sense, but didn't see that one coming today. Kevin Bowen, who retired yesterday out at West 56th.
Yeah, so Xavier Howard, who has really struggled in his 4 games with the Colts this season. That announcement came, yesterday evening. He had a long post on Instagram explaining a little bit more of that. Maybe we can read that coming up on the other side. So much debate this week about what they should do with Xavier Howard, and he's decided to exit stage right. So they promoted a safety, Trey Washington, undrafted free agent, from their practice squad here upcoming for this week. And then Shaq Leonard, who has not played football, of course, for a couple years, but a wonderful career, and unfortunately injuries marred the length of that career. He will retire on Sunday as a Colt. So you'll get the pregame anvil from Shaq Leonard. You'll get the halftime on the field speaking to the crowd. And like I said, I think one of the more electric players to put on a Colts uniform, and I think a really great gesture by the team in allowing Shaq to have, I think, a deserved moment after his cut mid-season a few years back. Was just a tad awkward.
All right, so James, what do the Colts look like when they take the field as a starting lineup in that secondary on Sunday?
That's the question. Do you go with Mekhi Blackman or do you go with Jonathan Edwards, the undrafted rookie? You still can't turn to Jalen Jones because he's a week away from possibly returning from injured reserve with his hamstring injury. And so it certainly is kind of like a little bit of Tetris. How many pieces can fit and how can you get them to fit in a very short amount of time. So
and Kenny Moore didn't practice yesterday.
Exactly. Good thing to mention that, Kevin. So I think when you look at their cornerback room, I mean, the question going into this week was, where are you going to bench Xavier Howard? And he made that decision for you by literally leaving football. And so now your other options are kind of what ifs. And I would argue that the what ifs are probably a little more enticing still than what is or what was with Xavier Howard and how poorly he played.
All right, so the Colts will play the Vegas Raiders coming up on Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock kick. Pregame starts at 9 o'clock, the ride to kickoff with JMV. He will, of course, be at Bullseye Event Center, and then we'll have all the pregame for you. The game itself, Greg Rakestraw has the postgame after that. You'll listen to it live on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. A little bit more on injury for Kelsey Mitchell. James, have you learned how to spell rhabdomyolysis? Myelosis, I should say.
No, I have no idea, but I did look this up. It sounds very serious. So I'm glad that the medical staff in Vegas was able to attend to her right away, not only at the facility, but later on that night as she went to the hospital. And she literally, I think in her statement, Kelsey Mitchell put out, said that she played until the wheels fell off. And so, again, hats off to her. Glad that she's okay. And from what I understand, even if the fever had advanced, she would not have been playing in the finals due to this. And so it sounds like it's pretty severe, but the good thing about, I guess, having this happen at the end of the season is that you get all this time to recover. And so just, prayers up for Kelsey Mitchell. And I'm glad that this isn't a story that is more tragic or something than it needed to be, because, again, this sounds very serious.
Yeah, rhabdomyolysis, I'd never heard of it in my all these decades doing sports. So hopefully it's going to be okay moving forward, but she seems to be moving on from it, and we start to worry about who the Fever will keep and who will get poached at the upcoming expansion draft and who they're going to pay money to. We don't know what the CBA is going to be about. So nothing but questions, Kevin Bowen, for the Fever in the offseason.
Yeah,
right
exit
now.
Interviews today. I'll be curious if Caitlin Clark has any comments on Nafisa Collier's comments. So we will hear from Caitlin Clark. James, I can't even remember the last time she met the media. So she's on the list, along with Kelsey Mitchell, on the list of people that will talk today. Exit meetings for the Fever.
All right, Thursday Night Football coming your way a little bit later on tonight. And the week 5, can we believe we are at week 5 of the NFL, guys? It just is flying by. It feels like we got through training camp. We're going. Next thing you know, we come up on week 5 of the NFL. It'll be 49ers and Rams and NFC West tilt a little bit later on tonight. But Jason Hammer's going to be in later on this afternoon or this morning to tell us a little bit about what he thinks about that one. Rams looked pretty good last week, and I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be able to play tonight. So it'll be interesting
Ruled
to see
out,
that
right?
thing.
Yeah, they've already ruled him out as well
Jonesy.
as yeah, they've also ruled out Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings. So 49ers kind of a mass unit over there.
Mark will be starting at wide receiver on my fantasy football league team tonight.
Well,
That's it.
take that L then.
Brian Baldinger at 8 o'clock, Mark. Is
Yep.
that correct?
Uh-huh.
All right, look forward to that. Did you guys hear about this Big Ten proposal? They want a $2 billion private capital deal where whoever gives them the $2 billion will have an equal stake in what goes on, including investment. They might get money back too, but that would be spread evenly across not only the league, but all 18 teams. And whoever this investor would be a 20th partner in the deal. So they wouldn't have like a majority say of anything, but it would be a big investment and an extra $2 billion to spread across the league that just keeps getting more and more. The coffers keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I just read the headline there. So they give that to me again. They would just be the 20th seat at the table.
They basically, would be a 20th seat at the table, but they would also
cost
be
$2 billion for the 20th
but they would
seat?
also be able to get whatever the income moving forward is for the league. They would also get a 20th of that moving forward as well.
College athletics is wild.
It's crazy.
I'll never be a billionaire. That sounds like a bad deal for the guy handing out $2 billion.
Well, it's not. Look, the guys with the $2 billion could probably take $10 million and turn it back into $50 million. They seem to be able to do that, those guys. So who knows? Anyway, it's a proposal. They're talking about it. Seems like it's something that might take place. Anything else you guys want to throw in this morning?
Well, the Major League Baseball schedule shifts a little bit today. So I know we got used to the 1, 3, 6, 9, I think were the start times the last 2 days. Tigers, Guardians will be at 3.
Yeah.
Padres, Cubs. What is that, Mark? Darvish against
Jamison Tyon. You should know this. You're a Cubs fan now. You should
I am a
learn your
supporter of my
roster.
friend. No Cubs fan, supporter of a friend. We all probably could
Punch him,
take
Mark, please.
I know.
a little bit of
It
lesson
is truly
in that.
disgusting today. I didn't think Kevin would sink this low.
5 o'clock.
I
at
set
Wrigley.
him up right there with anything else you want to talk about, knowing that I hadn't talked about baseball yet.
Red Sox, Yankees, then at 8 o'clock. Again, winner take all of these best of 3 series.
Are you going to abandon being a Reds fan? Are you going to abandon following this team?
Kevin clearly
You
has.
didn't even
He's
bring him
wearing a
up.
Joe Madden shirt today.
You went through the whole baseball thing, never once bringing up who's missing from the playoffs there.
Well, we talked a lot about them in the opener, and I would say it's accurate because the Reds look to be missing in games 1 and games 2 as well.
Yeah, they were swept by the Dodgers 8-4 the final score last night, and even I have to admit now, Kevin, the Reds are dead.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
On the next flight to Cabo.
Mark playing a lot of audio on the day of his team playing an elimination game here.
Yeah, Padres were shutting out the Cubs yesterday in the
The
afternoon.
old peacock strutting after 4 hits. Interesting.
You've clearly jumped on the bandwagon. I don't know why the Red stuff would be hurting you anymore. They're not your team.
College football this weekend, you got Purdue as right around a 10-point underdog. They've got the Fighting James Boyds in Ross Aid coming up at noon, and Notre Dame has got Boise State at 3:30. Not maybe as great of a slate as we had last week, but that's your local action. Again, Indiana on a bye before all eyes point to Kurt Signetti's bunch heading out to Eugene to take on the Ducks.
All right, busy schedule today. Brian Baldinger will be by at 8 o'clock to talk NFL. Tony East at 8:30 for more on the future of the Fever and a little bit on the Pacers getting ready to play. Joel A. Erickson on the Colts at 9. And Jason Hammer stops by at 9:30, James, to make us all money. Have you taken advantage of any of his advice yet this year?
No, I've not. But I would encourage you all
Probably have
to
more money in your
tune
pocket
in.
then.
And can I throw in something on Tony and Joel? I know we obviously have Tony and Joel on a lot. Tony East has had one of the wildest 36-hour travel periods you'll see. You want to talk about a dedicated human? We'll get to that here at 8:30. And Joel A. Erickson was in L.A. but didn't watch the first half of Colts-Rams from the stadium. He'll share that with us coming up.
That's a good tease.
I know
9
what you're
o'clock.
getting at.
That's a good tease. I can't wait to hear the story. It all unfolds in the next 2.5 hours right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Going to talk a lot about the Indianapolis Colts and their Game 5 this week against the Las Vegas Raiders as the 5th week of the NFL season. It kicks off later on tonight. But there's been so much activity at the Fieldhouse over just the last several months. We went right up to the very last possible date of the NBA season, and then the Fever took over and people started paying attention to them, and every time they had an injury, somebody else stepped up, and they made it all the way to the very last game of the semifinals. They'll have exit interviews today, the Fever will, over at the Fieldhouse, just a couple of days after Media Day for the Pacers. And before you know, we got Pacers pregame or preseason game coming up in just a minute. Like, we talk about, basketball being different here in Indiana, and in 49 other states, it's just basketball. We get all that. But, man, this has been a 6-month run, Kevin Bowen, that kind of demonstrates that it just doesn't stop.
Fan Jam on Sunday. If you're looking to get a little Pacers fix in before the Colts game, I believe that's 11 a.m. And I saw a really cool event. I think Sports Corp is big in initiating this. I think it's 2 Thursdays from now. I want to say it's the 16th. You have an Indiana-Purdue volleyball match inside a Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So that's pretty unique, pretty cool. I think sometimes you've seen Victory Field host some college baseball games between Indiana, and I want to say Purdue's been involved. Maybe it's just Notre Dame, Ball State, some others. But I love that, get a little atmosphere inside of an NBA arena for 2 Big Ten, which the Big Ten is loaded in volleyball.
I was going to say, it's a legit conference in volleyball.
So Purdue
sure.
and Indiana here in a couple of weeks. So Gainbridge Fieldhouse, very, very busy. And, yes, the Pacers' first preseason game coming up on Tuesday. That's a road game to start off.
Yeah, I know you guys are busy with Colt stuff later on today, but anybody, anybody plan on checking out the exit interviews for the Fever, or are you just too busy with Colts right now?
Yeah, I have no time to go, unfortunately, but I'll be curious to see what Caitlin says her offseason plan is, and an update from Kelsey Mitchell herself. And then, hearing from management. You have 3 players under contract going into next year. Those 3 players are Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, 2 franchise pillars, and then rookie, now going into her second year, Michaela Timpson. And so a lot of decisions to be made about this team. I know people keep saying, run it back with the same group. It is literally not possible because of the injury factors and things like that. They had so many players on their team because so many got hurt. And so, unfortunately, this group will not be together again. And so I'm glad they had that run. They should cherish it because it'll certainly look different next year.
And a lot of the offseason is still to be determined. We got a collective bargaining agreement that needs to be ironed out. What's the salary cap going to be after all that is said and done? How does that impact the players that they want to keep, don't want to keep? 2 teams will be having an expansion draft, so you can't protect everybody at that point in time. So it really is kind of all up in the air right now, Kevin. It's hard to say just exactly past the 3 or 4 players that we know or have a pretty good idea that are either under contract or you can bring them back as a core player like Kelsey Mitchell. Hard to say exactly the bottom 5, 6 players on that roster who exactly that's going to be made up of.
Yeah, and even before the injuries, this was likely going to be kind of a 1-year thing. I mean, DeWanna Bonner was a 1-year deal, and Natasha Howard was a 1-year deal.
They pushed all the chips to the center of the table and said, let's go win it.
They got dead cap money for that too, right? For DeWanna Bonner. They got some dead cap money on that, I think.
No, they paid her, and then the Mercury picked up the rest of her contract. But, yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch it all play out, and we'll learn a little bit more about how things went. And I think you made a great point earlier. What's Caitlin Clark going to say in regards to the CBA and the recent comments by Nafisha Collier about the commissioner, Kathy Engelbrandt?
We'll see if she has any public comments about that today. It's been a while since we've heard Caitlin Clark talk to the media. So, again, exit interviews coming up a little bit later this morning for the Fever.
All right, and it's back to work for the Colts as they get back onto the field again for the 2nd day in a row this week, getting ready for the Raiders. We talked about it a little bit during the update, but injury situation, you talked about Kenny Moore. James, who else are we really worried about right now?
That was, I believe, one of the main ones. I have to go back and look and see who missed yesterday's practice, who I think it was 5 absences, Kevin.
Yeah, Zaire Franklin with the ankle. The only reason I bring that up, Zaire Franklin, plays every game, but he did have ankle surgery in the offseason. Is it the same ankle? I didn't see any boot on him, James. He was out there observing practice yesterday. Alec Pierce back and in a blue jersey. So the fact that he wasn't even in a red jersey, no contact, I would say concussion protocol, you never know. You can have a step back or 2. but I would say a good sign that Alec Pierce plays on Sunday. Do you think that impacts A.D. Mitchell's situation at all in Week 5, James?
Certainly, I think that's a pretty big factor. And, I mean, honestly, talking to Shane yesterday, I asked him flat out, will A.D. Mitchell play against the Raiders? And he said, we'll see how the week goes. So it sounds like he could be in the doghouse this upcoming weekend.
I wouldn't be surprised to anybody. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out when they kick the ball off at 1 o'clock. And we'll talk more about that coming up at the top of the hour. Brian Baldinger will give us kind of a national perspective, and a guy that you want to talk about. He is a fun follow on social media. He breaks things down.
Great follow. So, Mark, good work on getting that. He was on the call, by the way, of Colts-Rams. That's kind of the relevancy and tying it into where the Colts are here in Week 5. Thank you to Charlie for this. James Boyd, your alma mater screwed.
Against Purdue?
Charlie chimes in here.
Shots fired right away.
Purdue football
is trash?
Oh, no. Actually, I think this might be the reverse.
I was about to say.
Your alma mater is golden. Hammer it.
Oh.
Purdue is 0-8 in the first game following a Taylor Swift album release.
Okay.
Can you imagine someone that looked this up?
I was going to say, did she release an album recently? Am I missing something?
It comes out Friday.
Oh, okay. All right.
Needless to say, with
Jeez,
a house
James,
full of
where have
daughters.
you been,
where are you on your
man?
Taylor Swift?
No,
Yeah.
I thought he meant it came out like literally last weekend or something like that.
So
but
there
yeah, I'll
you
admit,
go.
I don't know many Taylor Swift songs.
Hammer the Illini. This goes back to 2006. This is unbelievable here. They lost to Penn State. I mean, who in the world is looking this up? By the way, I did see, Arkansas is now open, that job, of course, after Notre Dame dusted them on Saturday. Barry Odom was the defensive coordinator at Arkansas. I saw a list that mentioned Barry Odom's name. What's a better job, Purdue or Arkansas?
You'd think probably Arkansas from a historical perspective, although if you will go way historical, Purdue was not bad, but recent times, it's been a rough go.
Arkansas, you need to be fitted for a neck brace too. Isn't that a requirement?
For Bobby P, yeah.
And they give you a motorcycle upon signing though as a head coach.
No, but I asked that in all seriousness.
But how's the breeding ground when it comes to Arkansas and the SEC competing with the other ones?
I would think from a money standpoint, is there? Ooh, geez,
what just happened there?
There goes our YouTube camera, right?
I saw something got pulled away with a cord, and next thing something went down.
Was that Jeff's camera?
That was Jeff's camera.
Oh boy.
Maybe
just died.
Maybe that was the Purdue God
Literally
saying, "How dare you talk Barry Odom? Leave our school here." Walmart money, right? Jerry Jones money. Would that not be for Arkansas?
It might change now. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This event over here is distracting me. But
does the camera still work? I don't know. We'll see. Oh man. No, but you make a great point. What would you do if you were looking for a head coaching job?
Yeah, and again, this list had a lot of, of these, think of those, kind of not mid-major, but the Tulanes of the world, the Rhett Lashley at SMU, speaking of Jerry, I think he played at Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a lot of others on this list here, but I kind of forgot that Barry Odom was the DC there for a couple years. It doesn't have any ties, I think, outside of the university necessarily to that. Played at Missouri, grew up in Oklahoma, but I don't know. I'm always kind of, Big Ten and SEC, those are the two conferences, right? I mean, those are the two mega ones. And
which boosters have more money? That's where I'll be headed.
And when you get a $2 billion infusion in the Big Ten, James.
When you look at it like Texas Tech, like they have had a really nice start to the season, and like their NIL is absurd. And I don't think that would maybe resonate with a casual college football fan. Like Texas Tech, really? So now do you look at it and say, hey, Arkansas, good luck facing – just look at Arkansas' schedule upcoming. Like even Purdue's schedule doesn't look as daunting as that. And I don't think Barry Odom would leave after a year, but I was just surprised to see that.
Marcus,
this is hilarious.
He's standing on chairs, putting things back together. Everything is tilted. It's coming off on an angle.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's all right. There's a lot of weird angles on this show. It is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, the elevated Mark Dykton. As he looks like a wedding photographer up there, doesn't he? Like he stepped up onto a ladder to try and get that perfect last shot, Kevin.
I think Mark could be a great wedding DJ.
He does it all. He's the one-stop shop. He'll find you a venue. He'll take your pictures for you, and at the end, he'll spin the records for you. Hit on the bridesmaids. There you go. That's what you do. So,
I think we're back. We'll see.
Yeah, so we got college football coming up. Indiana, of course, is off this week as they get ready for a big game against Oregon. But, yeah, Illinois and Purdue. This will be interesting to see. Illinois kind of got it together again last week, James. Like, that was probably their best, may have been their best game of the season.
Yeah, someone else told me about it. I told you I was only watching for the pettiness of IU Illinois. So, congrats to my alma mater. But, yeah, I don't know if I'll be locking in for the rest of the season.
What would that mean? What as he starts to build that program up at Purdue, like what does it mean to the Boilermakers if A, they play a really tough, close game, or B, win the game?
Yeah, I would go to the latter.
So no moral victories if they push a top-ranked team?
Yeah, I mean, kind of moral victory did against USC. If you may want to play it for a half against Notre Dame. I think if you really want to take a major step in the right direction, start winning some of these games. So look, in Barry Odom's first season, the over-under was 3.5. I'm not going to really overreact too much either way, but yeah, I think it's a great opportunity in your own building. Should be a great day at Ross-Ade. Noon kickoff. Illinois, had a emotional game, a game that went down to the wire, and a game-winning field goal kick after they got shellacked in Bloomington. So, great opportunity for Purdue.
While we're talking about college football, where are you at on Notre Dame? They're hosting Boise State.
Boise State worries me. That's a playoff team from last year, is it not?
It is.
Without Ashton Genty, don't be worried.
They have not yet risen to the top 25.
Ashton Genty saying yesterday that he's gone back to his college stance from Boise, and that's what ignited his best day as a pro. I'm looking forward to seeing Genty against the Colts. I think that, just what type, top 5 running back. That doesn't happen in, 2025 very often here. So, him and Bowers a little banged up. He's still wearing a knee brace from earlier this year, but the Raiders have 2 or 3 dudes, and then they have Geno Smith.
You're not a Geno believer anymore?
7 interceptions, correct? He leads the NFL.
Yeah. He had his moment in the sun for a year or two there in Seattle.
I thought Flacco had 6.
I thought he had 8.
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't.
He won't
be
getting any more because he's going to the
That's true.
Mm-hmm. That is our lowest over-under, I believe, of the entire season. Vikings-Browns from London on Sunday. That is an over-under of 35.5 points. That's like an Army-Navy over-under.
So the Vikings will just be in Europe for like 2.5 weeks, right? Like they've been out there for Dublin, and now they're out there for London, and then they finally come back.
My buddy who covers the Vikings for us, Alec Lewis, I was thinking, wow, what a time. You get to just spend 2 weeks in Europe on someone else's dime.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
And watch Carson Wentz sling it.
People are saying in the chat that Kevin's Cubs shirt is bad juju because we didn't have a camera smashed to the ground before until the day he's wearing Cubs.
That is true. If you believe in entities, maybe the baseball gods are a little unhappy this morning, Kevin.
Good news. I don't need to worry about baseball gods for quite a while here. Mark Dykton's the one that's got to worry about him.
I know. I don't. I really don't like the vibes you're putting out this morning.
A lot of Reds audio we had here in the text line from Mark. Clearly not superstitious about the sport with the most superstition. Thank you, Chase, for that. If I'm Mark, I'd be walking a fine line with my team playing an elimination game. I'm here to support him.
And make sure you don't step on any chalk lines today, Mark.
Well, hopefully not. I don't know. Kevin's already got some bad juju
what
going.
What happened yesterday, Mark? Just inability to hit, because Dylan Cease exited early, right?
Yeah, he was doing pretty well, actually, and they pulled him early, and then it was just a matter of
one hit against the bullpen after that?
For whatever reason, the Cubs started their one of their relievers over Shota for an inning, and then we're in a 1-0 hole out of the gate, and then Shota came in, and his only blemish was a 2-run shot that Manny Machado just ripped that ball. Crushed it. So outside of that, yeah, the offense just couldn't get going, so we will see what happens. But, Jamison Taillon on the mound today against former Cub Yu Darvish, so that should be interesting.
And again, that is 5 o'clock for the first pitch there. So, 3 o'clock Tigers Guardians, 5 o'clock Mark's Cubs against the Padres, and Yankees Red Sox. Can't wait. What a great little Thursday leading into, I think Rams 49ers at the very least is a great uniform matchup. Rams are a heavy favorite in this one going up against Mac Jones.
As they should be. Yeah.
I think it's over a touchdown.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I have no kids to take anywhere at all today. And when I said 3 o'clock, my broadcast day may end today here. When I say broadcast, my day in the building may end around noon, 12:30. I might go home and just watch sports from 3 o'clock until I fall asleep tonight.
Well, how are you going to manage Jake and John?
Huh?
How are you going to manage Jake and John?
Does anybody manage Jake and John?
Exiting at noon. Well,
does anybody really manage Jake and John?
Some might argue that they need it.
I'm 1% better every day.
That's not my saying, by the way.
No.
Did you take a shot at John and Jake?
No.
Okay.
You can interpret it however you would like.
No, but I'm excited. I can go home today and starting at 3 o'clock with Tigers Guardians, I can just watch baseball and NFL football all day. I never get to do that during the weekdays. Just
You're excited.
all day long.
Feel these nipples.
James, I was thinking
that
this
took a turn
yesterday watching Colts practice. Matt Gonzalez back to practice. We should mention that.
Yeah,
the right
he was
guard
limited.
that missed the game against the Rams. So Gonzalez back, Alec Pierce back. Assuming those two play, have the Colts had their starting offense intact for every game this season but the Rams game?
I believe so, yes.
That's kind of wild. 5 games in the season, you've had your starting 11 together for 4 of those 5 games. And I would probably then put that in the optimistic category of a reason why you continue to feel good about the 3-1 start to the season. Like, when your offense has been helped now, again, 17 games is a long grind. I'm not going to act like you're going to have your starting 11 together in November and December. But when this unit has been together, they've scored, and they scored, fine on Sunday. Certainly if A.D. Mitchell holds on to the football, they score fine. I don't know. That is a definite good news item, I think, for the Colts, because that Gonzalez injury, I think, was kind of an under-the-radar one from Sunday.
Absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, there's no really comparison between his level of play and Dalton Tucker. Now, I'll give Dalton Tucker credit. Started 7 games last year, started the game this year in the absence of Matt Gonzalez, and he did what he was supposed to do as like a backup right guard, and it kind of gives you a chance and hopefully serves as a stopgap, but he certainly is not a starter in this league. And so I think getting Matt Gonzalez back in there will stabilize your offense. And let's not act like he has not been good this year. Moving from tackle to guard, I think he's made a pretty good transition, and it's shown up on tape more often than not. And so you're curious to see how that toe feels, how it responds to the first day of practice yesterday, getting back out there. But assuming that he's able to go, I think that's a big boost for this offense that, last week, Daniel Jones was under some pressure more than he had been, I think, previously to that game.
I was looking at it last night. I think that there are 9, if I remember right. It was a long time ago. I think there are 9 teams right now that are 3-1, and the Colts certainly are one of them. And I would imagine this second quadrant of the season is where teams maybe start to make their separation runs within their division, within their conference just a little bit. But are you guys surprised to find out that after only 4 weeks, there's only 2 undefeated teams left?
I'm actually not. No. I mean, this is the NFL, the league of parity, which is why I think it's one of the best leagues in the world. Week in, week out, no matter what the money line might be or the spread, it usually will come down to the wire for a lot of these games. And so, not surprised at all. Football's weird, man, as I keep saying.
Yeah, Buffalo and Philadelphia, Mark, the only 2 undefeated teams after 4 games so far.
2 great teams.
I know I've teased it. We should probably get a little bit more detail because Brian Baldinger is going to join us here in a few. The Xavier Howard statement from yesterday. Again, he released this on Instagram, a little bit of a long statement, so bear with me. But throughout my career, I've always played football for the love of the sport. I enjoyed everything that came with being a part of the NFL. It was my passion for the game that drove me. I love and appreciate the Dolphins for drafting me and giving me the chance to play pro football. I cannot thank the Colts enough for letting me to continue to live out my dream. But my dream has now changed. I've been getting closer to God and asking that He directs my path. I'm a man of faith, and I believe wholeheartedly that He doesn't make mistakes. He's led me to ending my career. I'm now putting God and my priorities first. When I was away from the game in 2024, I fell in love with taking my kids to school, doing activities with them, and watching them grow up. Up to that point, I'd always put my family after football. I'm no longer willing to do so, so today I am retiring from the National Football League. My purpose has been fulfilled in this sport, but my kids are more important to me than football. I've had a hell of a career, and even though it's ending in a unique way, I'm cool with that because for once I'm putting my family first, and I'm proud and excited about that decision.
The words of a man who struggled a little bit the first couple of weeks, certainly had a pretty good career before he took last year off, and maybe just decided, at the end of the day, I'm not playing all that well. I'm tired of hearing negative stuff. It's not working out, and I'd just rather go back to being with my family like last year.
When you have a lot of money and you can be on the beach every day, that's very tempting. And so I do not blame him for saying, you know what, I actually don't want to go run my body into other people. I want to go sit down and be with my family. And, again, I do think he didn't really mention it in that statement, but I do think the level of play had to be a factor. He was not a good player anymore in this league, and so, respect to anyone who kind of sees the writing on the wall.
All right, coming up in a moment, Brian Baldinger joins us. He'll talk about the Colts, what he sees, what he likes, what he's uncovered after all that meticulous film work. We'll get into it next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Brian Baldinger coming up in just a moment here to talk NFL as we got another Thursday night game tonight, and the Colts get ready for a game against the Raiders on Sunday afternoon. We'll get into all of that and find out what he's been seeing on film and tape from this football team. Baseball today, 3 games. It all starts at 3. The Tigers and Guardians lead it off, and these are all game 3s. Winner take all, right, Mark? You ready to go for that?
Yep.
Padres and Cubs at 5.
Uh-huh.
When does the drinking start?
Who's to say it hasn't started already?
Nope. I
kind of coffee in this cup.
I kind of got that vibe there with the intro.
Mm-hmm.
I was just checking in. And then I guess tonight's nightcap would be the Red Sox and the New York Yankees. And these have all been really good series to watch for different reasons.
All but one was really good.
Yeah, agreed, Mark. Thank you for that. That was a great game yesterday, Red Sox-Yankees, back and forth. And, boy, just how quickly your emotions have to go from we've kept our season alive to, oh, my gosh, we have to do it again tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes, as Mark eloquently pointed out, the Reds are officially dead.
I laugh only because I have to join you now. That was almost a nervous laugh.
Well, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Bases
loaded in the 6th with no outs.
Friedel had a chance.
If Friedel in the 8th strikes out looking, again, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Because if people are just waking up too and didn't see that because it was a very late game, they had the bases loaded. He was the tying run at the plate, and that was that. What were you thinking during that at bat? Were you up? Because you said Max was up. So
yeah, I was up, and I'm thinking, why am I up? Just go to sleep. The Reds stink. They're dead. This is not going to happen. You're wasting your time.
Yeah. So 3 pretty good games later on today. Looking forward to that, and then that'll lead right into. You'll have to have if you're just a sports fan like me, I'll have the 2 TVs going to see Boston and New York on one, and of course the Thursday night football game on the other. And we just saw the Rams, and it seems like they would have the advantage over a team playing without their starting quarterback tonight.
Yeah, big favorite. I think 8.5, I believe, the Rams over the 49ers. Again, no Brock Purdy for tonight.
All right. Happy to welcome in our next guest. I used to work with him at Sporting News Radio. Brian Baldinger does just fantastic work all the time. He posts his stuff on social media. He's one of my favorite people to listen to when it comes to why things work and why they're not working and who's playing well in the National Football League. And he is on the Payless Liquors hotline right now. Good morning, Baldy. How you been?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing good. Good to be with you guys.
Always good to be with you. So I guess first things first, 3-1. Daniel Jones has played pretty well. Are these Colts for real? Is this something that can sustain?
Well, if they can find some corners. I mean, they're cornerback short right now. That's an issue. It's an issue around the league. It's not just Indianapolis. It's an issue, though. I mean, obviously, Xavier didn't work out, and Puka put it to him. But, I mean, you get a point, 9 years in this business. You can't run quite like you want to run and the way you once did. And so now he's out. And so that's an issue. But I think they're for real. I think Daniels, you could take the interceptions by Cam Curl last week. One's at the end of the game. One is it's a good deep shot. They certainly had their chances to win the game. A couple boneheaded plays by some guys, but I think they're for real. I mean, that's a good Rams team. You're going to see them tonight. They're very well coached. They've got some star power on that team. A lot of good young players, and a quarterback that's still rolling really strong. So. Yeah, I think the Colts are for real, and Jacksonville's for real, and we'll see if Houston can come out of the crypt right now, but I think they're off to a good start.
Baldy, I know you were on the call, and thank you for the time here on this Thursday morning. I know you're on the call on Sunday, and you saw Daniel Jones, and you hit on it a little bit right there, but what you've observed from afar, I guess, the first 3 weeks, and then in person on Sunday, what do you make of what Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen have done through the first 4 weeks?
Well, he knows where he wants to go with the ball, and he's very, very certain about where he's going, and he's very good at getting it there. They obviously could have won that game easily, except for 2 bad plays. But regardless, the offense makes a lot of sense. Ty Warren has made a big difference in that offense. The offensive line has played really well. Jonathan Taylor is on his game. I like the design. I like the way of getting guys open and a little creativity to some of it. But I feel like Daniel Jones is playing the best football he's ever played, and that includes the year that they went to the playoffs. But he's an elite athlete. He always was, coming out of Charlotte, coming out of Duke, and he still has all that ability. His ability to scramble, to extend plays, all that is there. But I think he really knows what he's looking at right here, and he can put the ball where he wants to put it, in tight spots. And it's been doing it for the first month of the season. I don't think that's going to change.
Baldy, are you surprised at all with how well he's hit the ground here in Indianapolis, just given the resume with the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's not a whole lot of us guys that went to Duke that played in the NFL, so we kind of know each other and pay attention. But I've always pulled for the guy. He's always been a straight shooter with me, and we've always had a pretty good relationship from afar. But I've been critical of Daniel before, because I think there was moments where he really was unsure about what he was doing, and it showed up on film. But he's very, very sure about what he's doing. So that's a sign that him and Shane are really getting along quite well. And so I think the talent around him is as good as it's ever been. That includes when he had Saquon and, some good players there in New York. But the talent around him is really good. And so, I think getting now with Pierce back will really help. But regardless, it's the best I've seen him play. And that's just a short sample. It's 1 month. But he's very, very confident about what he's doing.
Again, Brian Baldinger joining us here on the Pale Slickers Hotline, NFL Network, Fox Sports, all of the above. Brian, when you look at the way Tyler Warren has changed this offense, what stands out to you, and what do you like about just the grittiness of his blocking and things of that nature that perhaps maybe go unnoticed as opposed to all the catches and yards?
Well, you said it. I mean, the gritties. I did not know Ty Warren until I went to the pro day in Penn State this year, and I got a chance to interview him and just watch him go to work. I mean, the guy is – he said, like, for example, this is Ty Warren. We wanted to get him for the NFL Network in an interview, and he goes, Baldy, I'll do it, but wait till everybody gets done. Like, he wanted to support all of his teammates at Penn State and all the things they were doing, and then he would give us a few minutes. So that kind of tells you a little bit. He's all about team. But he's just so versatile. He lines up at receiver. He lines up in the backfield. They line up in the backfield, and they drive him through the line and, link him out the back against Denver for 40 yards. He catches everything. He's good after the catch. On the Jonathan Taylor touchdown run that got called back, he's the lead blocker on the play, and he gets it done. And he's not John Mackey. He's not knocking guys on their back. He's not Gronk. But I think he's going to get better at it, and he certainly makes a difference. But just the versatility of what he can do and the dependability, and there's nothing like having a 6'6" monster in the middle of the field to throw it to, and I think every quarterback would welcome that.
I think you know that voice, Brian Baldinger, with us here on the Payless Slickers Hotline on this Thursday morning. And Baldy, the social media videos you do and breaking down some film are electric every single week. I am maybe a little biased. Some of my favorites are when you get going on a good Quentin Nelson pancake or two. Where does that rank for you? A good Quentin Nelson film breakdown in terms of your energy level?
He would have been there this week because he had a great pancake on, I believe it was Braden Fisk, on Jonathan Taylor's touchdown run that got called back. But he had a great block there. I think, look, he's had to play with a new left tackle. He's got a new center and Bortolini. It doesn't really matter. I mean, he's still, and I talked to him a little bit before the game on Sunday. I feel like right now he's probably as healthy as he's been in a while. And it does show. Like, his power is still there. His attention to detail is still there. But, a good pancake from Quentin is right there at the top of my, not just the top of the videos that I do every week. It makes my life better when I get to watch that. I just get in a better mood.
It's nothing like watching a human road grader. I mean, it's always fun. It's always fun. Brian, I'm just curious, what have you seen from defensively the Colts under Lou Anarumo? What's been different?
Well, I think they've been better. I know Kyron had a couple good runs last week, but I think they've been better against the run. The run fits look better. I feel like he's got just a monster in DeForest Buckner, and he hadn't had a really great three technique in a while. But I just feel like the run fits will be better. And Lou, I talked to Lou. I mean, he lives right down the block from me in Florida, whenever he's home. But I talked to him on the field before the game, and I think he was really nervous about Puka and Devontae, to be honest with you. But, I think that they're just going to be very sound. No, the quarterback situation is a problem for any coordinator. I feel like they're going to be really sound about what they're doing and how they go about it. He's a great coach, and he's an excellent play caller. He's had some big moments in big games where the pressures that he's using or how he's attacking third downs, it's unique. He has a unique way of attacking offenses, and I thought for most of the part on Sunday up until the touchdown, I thought he did a good job of, even though Pook had a big game, of really containing that offense that can really explode him.
Nope, we lost him.
I mean, I think Zaire Franklin's gonna have another monster year. Like his linebackers will make a lot of tackles. So he's off to a good start. He likes it. He likes the new changes. I talked to Zaire before the game. Like he's a unique player in that he can find the football anywhere on the field and then do something about it. So I think this thing is, I think they found the right guy. I thought they were very vanilla, to Gus and some of the things that they were doing. I think this is going to be a little bit more creative.
So, Baldy, the last one I have for you, and this is kind of serious, but not very serious, but what's the setup when you're breaking down film? Because when I see that clicker going and it looks like you're in a cave somewhere, it's dark, and all I see is the screen. So can you break us or give us a breakdown of your setup when you're breaking down film?
Well, I mean, at NFL Films, I just called the bubble. I might talk to the people in the dining hall that are making me lunch and breakfast and dinner. But other than that, it's just me and the projector and the clicker. That's it. I don't answer the phone. I just tweet things out, or put things on social media as I see fit. And I'm literally there for 15 hours every Monday and Tuesday, just trying to. I figure if I'm entertaining myself, then I'm going to entertain the other people that are watching, whether it's players or guys like yourself or some widow in Berlin, Germany, maybe. Who knows? But I'm just trying to entertain myself and things that catch my eye. I figure if it catches my eye, maybe it will do the same to whatever audience is out there.
And if you're having a bad day, you dial up number 56 in the blue and white.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have many bad days, but if I'm having a rough moment, like I don't know how this social media thing works, or something's not downloading the way it's supposed to, and I get frustrated. I'll just put a little big Q on there, and that will brighten my day.
I like it. Hey,
he's a simple man.
Real quickly, while we're talking about that last thing for me too, like, can we give some flowers to Jonathan Taylor? Because even when he gets into the open field, oftentimes that guy at the second level is the first guy to greet him, is not making the tackle. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, Jonathan's been great, man. He's from New Jersey. He's a Jersey guy. I live in Jersey too, and he's from Salem, New Jersey, and there's nothing going on in Salem, New Jersey, nothing. And that was by design. His dad, I don't know if you know his dad. His dad's a character. His dad's a bodybuilder. He's got the biggest set of pipes on any man I've seen since Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe. But his dad played for the Jersey Generals. And his dad, evidently, I mean, this is his dad telling me this, that, he was having too much fun out there while he played, and it probably cut his career short. And he didn't want that to happen to his son growing up. So he purposely moved to, like, just the deadest spot in all of New Jersey, where there's no distractions. And I just feel he's raised the right way. He's a great kid. He's off to a great start. He's healthy. The line's playing good. He's breaking 50-yard runs. Some of them get called back. But, he's on his game right now. He'll compete, for that rushing title again this year.
A lot of fun. Good to catch up with you again, buddy. Stay tuned and stay on top of all that film. It's amazing to watch. I love it every day. Keep it going.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
There he is, Brian Baldinger, joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. You talk about an easy rabbit hole to go down if you like football. Just watching him with the clicker, breaking things down, back and forth, back and forth. I don't think I've ever watched something of his for more than 10 or 15 minutes and thought to myself, man, I learned something today.
Yeah, I believe it's kind of like a badge of honor for players to get the Baldy breakdown. I've talked to a couple of players about it. I know some have voiced it publicly about, how honorable that is, because we know if Baldy is breaking down your tape, that means you've done some good things on game days.
Yep, a lot of fun there.
Did he throw in if you're a widow in Berlin watching this?
Yeah, and I was thinking,
very specific.
Should I send my condolences to Berlin or something?
Maybe he's talking about somebody right there.
T's and P's.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Excellent. Mark, thanks for getting Brian Baldinger on.
So we
helped him hail a cab in Chicago one time back in the day.
Really?
How many? I'm just
Tell us more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you give us a story?
I was working for the Bears out of college, like doing game day operations, and I was out there like trying to do traffic control and like help people get to and from the stadium. And all of a sudden, this big guy just comes up next to me. He's like, "How the hell do you hail a cab in this city?" And I looked over and it's Brian Baldinger. I'm like, "Game just ended like a half hour ago," so he was like getting out of Dodge and everything. He's like, "I'll help you." Hailed him a cab, and he went on his way to the airport. So that's how that worked. But
a man of service, Mark Dykton.
Standing by museum campus trying to hail a cab in Chicago. I'm like, he's just like us.
Well, except for you and I were talking about this yesterday. You ever seen the hands and the digits on that?
Yes.
That guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, that might be Man, his hands, yeah.
You got
he's
fingers
got Torrey
pointing in
Holt
every
fingers.
direction.
Yeah, I was going to say, he paid the price.
Man, oh man, oh man. Brian Baldinger, always a good friend of the show, the station, and just football in general. And football is coming your way on Sunday afternoon with the Colts and the Raiders over at Lucas Oil Stadium. One quick postscript note, speaking of Lucas Oil Stadium, a lot of fun over at the Horizon League Media Days yesterday. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed Ben Howlett, the new coach for IU Indy. It's going to be fun to see his system.
The system
that he has kind of adopted and really made it work, too. I
Press
mean, you want to
for 40 minutes,
get
play
up and
a
down
lot
the
of
floor.
guys, score. For those college basketball sickos, I think you have heard about some of these D2 teams that have adopted this, and Ben Howlett from West Liberty, the new coach at IU Indy, he is one of them. And so if you are going to a Jags game this year, expect pressing for 40 minutes and expect easy for me to say, expect 5 out and a team that's going to offensively try and score a ton. So, it's certainly an entertaining brand, and I've always been curious, would we see D1 teams try this a little bit more? We've seen D2 coaches have success. Ben McCollum at Iowa, now the Iowa coach at Drake last year. I know he was one that, some Indiana fans wanted for that job. So enjoyed that conversation yesterday, and always a good day when you're over at Lucas Oil Stadium.
I spent my evening on the campus IU Indy last night. Had a chance to go talk to a Rich Nye's class.
Look at that.
Last night. And just a
Rich
lot
Nye,
of...
the definition of a pro.
Dude, first thing I said to that group, I hope you realize how lucky you are that you get to interact with Rich Nye, who I think is one of the great storytellers, not only in this state, but just that I've seen. Like, he's unbelievable at telling stories. Love that.
Mark, you got issues?
You all right over there?
What's up?
Saw a little YouTube chat you seem to be a little upset with.
Oh, your teacher. I just said you're trying to put the Reds' bad mojo on the Cubs because misery loves company. So that's the whole thing. That's like this whole I'm rooting for my friend Mark. No, you're not.
I'm sorry you're looking at it in that light. I'm looking at it as supporting a friend in a day where fandom is probably at a peak stress level.
He's got your back.
I could support you, but if the shoe's on the other foot and you're like, I really need some Reds vibes from you, I'd be like, you can stick it because you're not getting them from here. There'd be no Ellie De La Cruz shirt wearing.
I feel like I should call up his kids and be like, liar, liar, pants on fire. I feel like that's what Max and
How do we
Rosie
get you
need to be
into an Ellie
saying.
De La Cruz shirt?
You don't. You'd have to beat me unconscious in order for that to happen.
So even if you lost a bet at some point in time, that's not happening?
I mean, if I made a wager for it, sure, I'll do it, but I'm not just doing it just because the Reds are playing Game 3 today.
Tony Easton, 15. This man, you want to talk about dedication to the Pacers and Fever beat? Quite the 36-hour escapade for him earlier this week. So Tony was at Game 5 on Tuesday night, so looking forward to chatting with him. And then Joel A. Erickson at 9. Always enjoy our chats with Joel. He's kicking the feet up with his Brewers not playing this week. But this was a man that was in L.A. with James Boyd for the Colts-Rams game, but was not in SoFi Stadium for the first half on Sunday. A slight tease for the Joel A. Erickson combo, and an article coming to Indy Star later this week on where Joel A. Erickson was.
It makes me wonder if he was up too late the night before, getting a jug of beer with James Boyd.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's having a great time in L.A.
All right. It's all coming up on the horizon, but right now, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Talk all week about what to do with a couple of players for the Colts. A.D. Mitchell, who made some big mistakes. Will he or will he not play this Sunday? We really don't know the answer to that, but we know what's going to happen in the secondary with Xavier Howard, James Boyd. I don't think any of us saw this one coming yesterday, did we?
No, not this. This is very shocking to see Xavier Howard retire mid-season, only a month into the season. Some people were saying, he hadn't played well. What do you think was going to happen? Not that. I mean, that is very rare for a player to do that, but tip the cap to Xavier Howard on what was a really good career. 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, but just not the player he used to be. And he cited that he wants to go spend more time with his family, which nobody can really hate on that.
Yeah, and 32 years old, especially taking a year off, kind of a gap year, and then trying to come back. That's a big ask for a cornerback in the NFL, Kevin.
Yeah, and again, my issue with the Colts is you handed him a starting job right when he walked in the door without playing football for a full year. I the vetting process is wild to me that was the situation that the Colts deemed acceptable and then continued to play him the amount that they played him in those 4 games without really blinking about his role. So I think that's where the regret is. But, he's had a hell of a career, James. I don't know if our audience fully realizes. 4-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro, and he entered the league in 2016. I want to say the number's 29 interceptions.
Yep.
Nobody in the NFL since that year has had more interceptions. So this is a great player. But unfortunately, at that position,
I believe it's the second most, actually.
Is the second most?
Span, yeah.
That position, when it goes in a hurry. And unfortunately, I think you saw that this year.
All right, that not the only retirement, though, over at West 56. Shaq Leonard has decided to officially retire as a member of the Indianapolis Colts. Hadn't played for a couple years, Kevin, but he made that announcement yesterday, too.
Yeah, slightly different on the news meter, but yes, so on Sunday, if you are at the game, you'll see Shaq Leonard bang the anvil. You want to talk about a man that will bring the energy. There's no debating that. And then at halftime, he will speak with the crowd. And so I think it's awesome. I mean, Shaq Leonard, again, electricity like none other as a football player. 4-time All-Pro in his first 4 years. We'll play that Zaire Franklin audio maybe coming up around 8:45. A great story about him and Shaq the night before the first road game in the NFL and where Shaq Leonard had to sleep that night because of Zaire Franklin. But I think it's cool that both parties got to this point. It didn't end well here in Indy. It ended awkwardly for Shaq Leonard.
No, I believe Shaq said literally, quote, "It's like they pushed me out the door."
Yeah, and just, it happened to be on the same day as him, passing out Thanksgiving meals over on the west side. It was so weird. So for this moment to happen, and again, Shaq was at the Fever game with his family the other night. I think that's great. So looking forward to Sunday. Shaq Leonard deserves that sort of attention.
Indiana Fever will put a big bow on their 2025 season this morning as they have exit interviews with all the media. Several players will be available, including Caitlin Clark, and that one might get interesting, James Boyd, based on recent comments from other players in the WNBA.
It might. I believe Caitlin and Nafisi Collier actually share the same agent, and so it might have been strategic to use her name, Nafisi Collier, that is, use Caitlin's name in her speech, basically eviscerating the league and the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert. So I'm very curious to see if Caitlin Clark will comment any further. Initially, she had no comment on Nafisi Collier's statement. However, they were in the playoffs at that point. You probably don't want to, get out there and say a bunch of stuff while your team's trying to still compete. But now that the season is over, I wonder if she will change her tune and kind of enlighten us a little bit. So I'm sure Tony East, among the others there, will have it all covered.
And it's going to be a big offseason for the Indiana Fever. They kind of went all in for this year, made a bunch of moves, and then there's all kinds of people that had to play because of injuries and whatnot. Got an expansion draft coming up, which, by the way, a couple of people have asked me what's that going to look like. We don't really quite know with two teams what it's going to look like yet. I don't think it's been spelled out, and they're waiting to see how it all works out with the collective bargaining agreement, and that could be very contentious. I don't know that right now as we sit here, James, I don't think it's 100% guarantee that we start the season on time next year.
No, this does not seem like negotiations are going well, and I would not be surprised at all if we see a delay in the season or a stoppage of some sort, because it sounds like, both sides want to dig their heels in. And when it comes to CBA agreements and contracts and things like that, if you want to get what you want, you have to really fight for it. I mean, these owners are not going to give it to you.
All right. Thursday night football comes your way in the National Football League later on tonight. 49ers playing at the Rams. We just saw the Rams against the Colts a couple of days ago. And, Kevin, the 49ers will be playing without their starting quarterback, Brock Purdy, again. He's had foot issues. But Matthew Stafford and his receivers don't seem to be having too many issues these days.
Yeah, I believe Rob haven't signed their right tackle, Tyler Higbee. Both I saw were doubtful, so a couple injuries exiting that game. But, yes, favored by 8.5, the Rams in this one. Jason Hammer will join us coming up in a little over an hour to see where his money is at coming up tonight, Thursday night football. Great uniform game.
Yeah, both those teams are 3-1 going into this contest tonight. College football later on this weekend. Number 22 Illinois will be playing at Ross-Ade Stadium, a noon kickoff against Purdue. This is going to be a pretty good test for Purdue. Where are they right now with Barry Odom just 4 games into his, or I guess 5 games into his tenure now?
Yeah, coming out of a bye week, they have not ran the football well. I think that will be a big key for them. But yeah, I want to say that spread's hovered right around 10. So a great opportunity for Purdue at home to beat an Illinois team that, I think has certainly played some Quite a few interesting games this season. The Duke game was wild earlier in the year, and then obviously IU beats the absolute brakes off them. And then the USC game was back and forth and took a game-winning kick. So good opportunity for Purdue to try and pull off the upset.
Notre Dame will host Boise State at 3:30. Major League Baseball last night. Padres shut out the Cubs 3-0. Manny Machado with a monster home run to break the scoreless tie. It was the Guardians over the Tigers by a score of 6-1. Red Sox, well, they had a chance, but they lose to the Yankees 4-3. That series even up at one game apiece. It looked for a minute like they might close that one out. The Dodgers did close out the Reds last night.
The Reds are officially dead.
Yes, they are.
I can't
say anything.
Was that today, Mark?
No,
or was that a month
was like
ago?
20 minutes ago.
Okay. The Reds are officially dead.
They did
I sound so sad.
They did have a brief 2-0 lead after the first inning, Kevin. Gave us some hope for a minute.
They did. Shout out to Sal hitting it the other way there, and he actually was one of the few that showed up last night, but you knew it wasn't going to last. They interviewed Tito. I feel like it was like the second or the third. He could even tell, like, Zach Littell was not going to last. So, yeah, the Dodgers spend a lot of money, but damn, that still is frustrating not to be even competitive, really, in either of those two games.
If you love baseball, triple header today starts at 3 o'clock with Tigers and Guardians at 5, Padres and Cubs, and then at 8 o'clock, the Red Sox and the Yankees. All three, Mark, are win or go home.
How you feeling, Mark?
I didn't love how they started yesterday, but I mean, hey, we got one game to prove it. So hopefully the offense wakes up out of their slumber, get it going. You know, Yu Darvish used to play for the Cubs. He's got like a 5.3 ERA, so see what you can do to him.
That's pretty enticing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we get ready to talk to Tony East?
High school football week 7. Dominic Miranda, Greg Rakestraw, Warren LN for Rake tomorrow. The MIC Championship, pseudo MIC Championship. He will join us coming up. So always looking forward to our football Fridays.
That's tomorrow, but coming up next, Tony East talks basketball right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We love basketball. It's a basketball state. We can talk about basketball 365 and love every single moment of it. And that's what we're going to do right now on the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton over there making it all happen. I'm Jeff Rickard, and Tony East, who talks basketball, Fever, Pacers, you name it. He's got insight, and he joins us now on the Fan Morning Show on the Payless Liquors hotline. And you're coming with stories and everything else today, Tony. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys? I'm glad I'm coming through okay. I just dropped my phone in water about 30 seconds before this phone call. So I'm glad you can hear me and my phone still works.
So what kind of water are we talking here, Tony? You're a journalist. Give us some details.
What kind of water? Water from my kitchen sink that I was trying to mix with medicine for the morning, and I just apparently forgot how my hands work.
Oh,
and
I thought you were talking to us from the old stool there for a second. And I was
considering Kevin has reached in the porta potty not too long ago, we have to ask these questions.
I will be clear. If I drop my phone in the toilet, I will tell you straight up I dropped my phone in the toilet. That did not happen.
Man of integrity, Tony. Okay, Tony, your schedule on Tuesday of this week. Can you walk us through I guess it was probably, I don't know, was it about a 36-hour period? Walk us through. Pacer practice, flight time to Vegas, flight back from Vegas, and you're back at Pacer practice yesterday.
It was only I guess if you count both practices, about a 24-hour experience. They practiced at 12:30 Tuesday. It was their first one, so I wanted to be there. Left a little early because my flight was at 2:30. Flew through Dallas to Vegas. Game 1, I landed about 30 minutes before the game, so barely made it on time. Game 5 of Aces Fever, and then an 11:30 p.m. red-eye through Atlanta back here that I got home at about 10-ish. And then they practiced at 12. Pacers practiced at 12:30.
Oof.
Unbelievable. That is wild to me. Were you scheduled to land 30 minutes before tip, or was that a delay?
No, it was a slight delay, unfortunately. I was trying to get there 4:45, I think was the original time. Because you gain so much time with time changes in the air that it's possible to do this, right? But it doesn't work as well if your plane is stuck on the ground.
You are insane, brother.
I don't think you deserve much credit. It's your job. Do your job. You did your job.
Stop.
Congrats,
that.
Tony.
I agree. So,
unbelievable.
I agree with that, James. The thing is, I can sleep so easily on planes that I get that it's not comfortable, but it worked well because of that.
See, it's a skill. I tell these guys this all the time.
You guys got a special
when you live the NBA life like Tony, you got to be able to sleep on planes.
Yeah, I guess it's probably bred into you, honestly, after a few games. Tony's latest, the Indiana Fever fought to the end, and they did it together. Nexthoop.com, where you can find that. Great stuff from Tony. I do want to ask you about Tuesday night just briefly. It was eerie watching it on TV. And I'm talking about the Kelsey Mitchell scene. The towels over her, the stretcher out. I'm not going to lie, for a brief second there, I thought, is this like a DeMar Hamlin situation? What's going on? They went to commercial, which probably didn't help the situation of the unknown. And if I remember correctly, I think ESPN went to commercial pretty, quickly right after the Hamlin thing. Once they knew something was super serious, they kind of got their ducks in order. Well, what was it like in arena?
Yeah, it was really bizarre because she was fine. The play that had happened, she was involved kind of defending the action, and Aaliyah Boston committed her 5th foul. So I wasn't even looking at Kelsey Mitchell, but she was walking, away from the play. And then all of a sudden someone's like, who is that? And I thought, who's that what? And they're on the ground, what? And there's Kelsey Mitchell surrounded by towels. I didn't even know who the player was for much of the exchange. And so it was really kind of alarming and scary for a second because you don't know how that happens. And then you only get to see one replay, and she just kind of has her leg give out. To me, I don't know if you guys remember this, I kind of thought of Victor Oladipo when he just blew his leg out with his really long injury. And I thought, oh man, is this a quad? Is this whatever? But very scary moment when that happened. The towels are always alarming. And of course the stretcher, Aaliyah Boston's crying. In arena, it was just so shocking because I had no idea what happened. There was no contact on the play. She wasn't running and something gave out. It just happened, and a ref had to kind of guide her to the ground. As we've seen today, it's maybe a good scenario situation, but also maybe not, because what gets you to the issue that she had sometimes can be like also alarming or maybe a sign of an issue with your kidneys. But at least as of right now, if it's something like not super scary, maybe she could still keep playing pretty soon. So it's scary and alarming when it happens.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody caught this. For as much grief as we've been giving WNBA officials, and a lot of it earned this year, the official that was standing next to Kelsey, she kind of reached over and grabbed his arm. He immediately knew something was wrong. I give him a lot of credit because he very carefully and gently kind of helped her lay down on the ground. I don't know if you saw that, Tony, but I thought, forget being a referee and a basketball player. He was just a human being at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to give him credit to have the wherewithal to know that a player is saying help specifically to you, right? And actually be involved in that moment. And thankfully the game was kind of at a stoppage or slowed down point. But yeah, that was just a scary, alarming sequence and then if you're a teammate, you don't know what happened. The towels are out, really similar to the Pacers in that, you got to keep playing. It's a huge game, but you just saw what happened to your teammate and their muscles. You got to find a way to fight through it somehow. And I think that was hard for everybody to do, even if just for a few moments, because they got back into the game. Obviously, they got it to overtime. But, if you have a bad 2 minutes in a game like that, it was really crushing and it was sad for everybody. So just a huge bummer. And in arena, it was even scarier because we had no idea what happened or how it happened.
Yeah, so I believe Kelsey came online yesterday and revealed that she had, and I hope I say this correctly, rhabdomyolysis.
Rhabdomyolysis.
Yeah.
Rhabdomyolysis.
Is that a dinosaur?
It sounds it's pretty rough.
one.
And it says it's a condition when muscle cells break down and release a protein into the bloodstream, which can be very bad for your kidneys and the rest of your body. And so just to give some added context, they're it was severe cramping, but it wasn't just cramps. It wasn't just, okay, go get some water and you'll be fine. Because I was thinking, did she not drink enough fluids throughout the day? It was the Vegas heat getting to her or something like that, but it was obviously more than that.
Right.
And so she basically said she played until the wheels fell off, Tony. So to have that diagnosis, to have it get treated, and to have her season kind of end like that, what do you think of post the injury, how the team rallied to push that game into overtime?
Yeah, I got a kick out of her saying that till the wheels fall off part. But, credit to them for – that was the story of their whole season, right? They would get to a situation where it's there's no way they can keep winning, right? And then they would. And in that game, to lose her and need to rely on Shea Petty and Odyssey Sims to the extent they did, and then lose Aaliyah Boston due to foul trouble and have to rely on Bree Turner and Michaela Simpson to the extent they did, I don't know about you guys. I thought it was over, right? I thought it was there's no way that they can do it with this crew available. But, who am I to say that? I've watched the Fever all year. The way they were able to battle back was remarkable. They had the ball in a tie game in overtime at one point. They could have taken the lead with that crew they had available. It was so impressive that they could do this. It was such a testament to what Stephanie White's been able to do. And, obviously it's a bummer that they lost in the way that they did and in that setting, but it was just so impressive that they were able to keep fighting like that.
Tony, thanks as always for stopping by. We'll be talking to you quite a bit as the Pacer season rolls out and starts up, and we're glad you're home safe and sound after all that travel, and get some rest now, okay?
Rice.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Bowl of rice, Tony, for the phone.
All right.
And a hair dryer.
Hey, guys.
You guys ever done that? The hair dryer right on the cord spots?
I've never had to.
Yeah, so water right where the plug goes in there. I've hair dried it out, and it's actually worked.
Oh,
yeah, I've done that. I remember, I think I was covering a high school game years ago and got rained on. It might have been a cross country meet or something like that, and got rained on a lot, and my phone was not working right afterwards. So I think I hit the school bathroom and just held it underneath the dryer.
Yes, perfect.
And saved the day right there.
Last night Kelsey Mitchell put a post out on her social media that basically said, I suffered from something called rhabdomyolysis last night. My muscle stopped producing and reached its maximum capacity. I went into a sense of numbness, paralyzing feeling with no movement from my lower extremities for up to 5 to 7 seconds because my muscles stopped producing positive blood to my bloodstream. My body locked up from a physical standpoint, and from there, fatigue and cramping settled in. It sucked. I panicked because I began to think the worst when I felt like I couldn't move my legs. It was an out-of-body experience for me, and I thank God for covering me at a time like that. So today, October 1st, I'm walking and moving at a slow pace, but I will be fine very soon. I want to thank the Fever medical team, Vegas medical team, and the staff at the local hospital for keeping me safe. In other words, I played literally till my wheels fell off. LMAO. Thank you for the prayers, love, respect, and support throughout all of this. If you rode with me through this journey, then I love you. 0 out. There you go. Right from Kelsey Mitchell. Coming up in a moment, we'll turn our attention back to the National Football League and specifically the Colts. We'll get ready to talk to Joel A. Erickson at 9 o'clock, Jason Hammer at 9:30. The Fan Morning Show continues next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Had a little unexpected treasure find there right before we came back from break, Kevin. I was looking through X, Twitter, see what's going on. And an account called the Legendary ABA says we're hearing Amazon will have exclusive ABA merch in connection with the premiere of the ABA docuseries in early 2026. Sign me up. I'm here for all the ABA merch.
Speaking of the documentary, and that is a cool-looking shirt, I did see the trailer yesterday to the Netflix documentary with Tyrese Halliburton, starting 5. That comes out, I want to say, in 2 weeks.
That looked good.
Oh, my. That's going to be an emotional struggle, I think, for some Pacer fans, Mark Dykton.
Mm-hmm.
They have some incredible access to Halliburton behind the scenes. I had to laugh at one of the clips of him in the locker room after the Bucks game where he goes, "Wait, my dad got into it with Giannis?" That was one of the clips they put in the trailer. There's so many things. We should just, maybe during the Colts bye week, we should just go down Pacer memory lane from last season. I guess we'll already be into the next season, but I feel like there's so many things that I almost forget about last year. But they had some really, Mark, I thought some vivid imagery, camera shots behind the scenes of him after the Achilles tear. Talking behind, in the locker room. So I think it'll be a really well done, but also you're going to see some sights and sounds that maybe you didn't necessarily want to see.
Yeah,
can you imagine? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just saying, can you imagine two of the guys they highlighted for the season were Tyrese and SGA, and they both made it to the final game of the season? That has to be just fantastic content.
Yeah, in the tease, they both had similar comments along the lines of if I get all the way to Game 7 and I lose, that would just be the worst thing in the world, so devastating, and we know how that story went. But it seems like it's going to be a great watch. And I did have a chance to see John Halliburton, I want to say last week or the week before, because they had the Hallie Mart thing just right next to the public library here in Indy, and they had Hallie Mart, for those listening, is basically the little pop-up shop they had for his shoe release. And so the only knock I will have, because it was a really cool venue, and it was basically a store with Halliburton in there pretending to be the guy who was selling you the shoes, which they basically branded as another fruit, I guess is how they would describe it. And so they had a bunch of his different face on cereal boxes, chip bags. They had a freezer that I stepped in and took a picture, and it was pretty funny. But the only thing I will knock is that they used AI-generated photos for some of the, Tyrese stuff. So some of the stuff didn't look like Tyrese. I was like, this is Ty somebody. This ain't Tyrese, though. And his dad was his dad was so honest. I was like, John, who is this guy? He was like, I don't know who that is. That ain't my son. And so it looked like a blend of, Paul George and Tyrese Hill together. And I told his dad that, and he just died laughing. But nevertheless, it was a really cool setup. And I'm hoping to, I wasn't a fan of, I've never been a fan of waiting in super long lines to buy stuff. But shout out to the fans who did that.
Around the block, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I think I will end up ordering a pair and just having them shipped to the apartment.
There's Tyrese Halliburton, and there's Tyrone Halliburton. And you're like, oh, okay. That's the AI version.
Because I was like, this is not Tyrese, it's Tyrone. This is, somebody else, but it certainly was not Tyrese. But the shoes itself, really cool. And it was cool that Halliburton, I believe he was there for almost 4 hours. So shout out to him.
October 16th, starting 5 comes out. So 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. Speaking of cool, it should be pretty cool inside of Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday, the honoring of Shaq Leonard and him retiring as a Colt. Again, he'll bang the anvil. And he'll speak to the crowd at halftime. The Colts announced that yesterday. Zaire Franklin, I had heard this story before, and I was hoping Zaire would tell it yesterday, and he did. I think one of the things I'm always struck by Darius Leonard, Shaq Leonard's career, was how quickly of an impact he made in the NFL. We're talking about a D2 South Carolina State guy, really missed some offseason time, and I'll never forget the first interception he had of Andrew Luck at a training camp practice, where I think Luck thought he had Eric Swope over the middle, and it was just your average linebacker, and all of a sudden Darius Leonard went up in the air to make that play, and it was like, oh boy, this is a different cat playing linebacker, and he was Defensive Rookie of the Year, all of those things. But this was Zaire Franklin sharing this story, and to set the scene a little bit, first NFL road game for these two in the same draft class. Darius Leonard, roommates in the hotel in Washington, D.C., with Zaire Franklin.
Yeah, so they're gonna kill me for that. But yeah, so we was roommates on the road. It was our second game, our rookie year, and I had the flu. I was sick. My wife would say I already have a really bad snoring problem. D. Leonard caught the brunt of it that night, and so bad that he actually had to sleep in the tub in the bathroom of our hotel room. But then he woke up the next day, went 18 tackles, forced fumble, and set all kind of records, defensive player of the week. So I told him he need to sleep in that tub more often. So yeah, man. I mean, I got a ton of stories of just the different things that D. Leonard done, and I mean, he was so superstitious. He used to wear the same shirt for like 2 years. He used to wear the same shirt underneath his pads, and then one day before a game, he was like, "See, I can't find it. Like, I don't know where my shirt is." I said, "Bro, that T-shirt ain't make you all pro gang, so you gotta move on from that." He's just a crazy dude, man. I'm just glad, like I said, I'm just glad he's getting honored the flowers he deserves. We've had a lot of times, some tough times and some good times, and I'm just glad he's gonna get that celebration that he deserves. So.
I have questions, KB. Are we talking standard tub, like in everybody's house? Are we talking one of those luxury suites, like 4-person hot tubs that he's trying to sleep in the night before a game?
I am laughing at this aspect to it. Darius Leonard had, as an NFL player, you've got some clout, I think, from the traveling party. I think there are many Colts employees traveling to road games that they would need to give up their room for one Darius Leonard if he could not sleep the night before the game. I think if you're the operations person in charge of the travel schedule, if you can't find another hotel room for him within that hotel, I think you're going in the tub in Zaire Franklin's room, and Darius Leonard's taking over your bed the night before a game.
That's crazy.
I mean, to say Zaire Franklin saying he's crazy, yes, that is the perfect way to describe him.
Maniac, right?
Absolute maniac, and really looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I've told you the story. He was the first guy that yelled at me after a game, and I remember running into his family at a Fever game, and he saw me before I saw him. This was a couple of years ago. I think this was pre-Caitlin Clark. And, yeah, I know because the media seats were actually on the floor back then. Times have changed, certainly. And I hear somebody call my name, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's Shaq Leonard. Oh, of all the places I could see you. Oh, I'm so happy to see you here. I was not happy to see him. And so he waves me over, and I go over to him and his wife and his daughters, and I just turn to his wife and I go, this guy yells at me all the time. And she just died laughing, and she was like, you don't say. And then he started laughing too because he knew it was true. But I'll give him a lot of credit for his intensity was and how, combative he could be, honestly, with the media. It never really, at least in my opinion, felt like it was like a personal thing. He would get mad at you on Wednesday and then, talk to you one-on-one on Thursday. Like, that's just how he was. But I think one thing he always respected about the media and vice versa, the one thing I respected about him is, good, bad, and different. He showed up, and he would face the music every single time. And I think a lot of athletes can learn from that because after a game, win or loss, you never had to go find Shaq Leonard and have him speak for what happened as a team captain, as one of the best guys on the team. He spoke after every game, win, lose, or draw, and that's something that I think is very commendable.
All right, look for that coming up on Sunday as the Colts take on the Raiders. We'll talk more about that game and put it all into perspective with Joel A. Erickson from the Indy Star. That's next, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Never have to wait very long for an NFL game after a Monday night contest. A couple of Monday night contests this past week. We turn our attention now to Thursday night football for the Rams and the Niners. Comes your way tonight. Of course,
Not sure I call what we saw Monday night football.
Well, I don't know. 28-3, we'll take it. At least there's a win. It was not a fun game to watch. There's no question about that. But it was NFL.
Plural. I don't know if Jets-Dolphins was much better.
Yeah, that's true. But we're getting ready now for Colts and Raiders coming up on Sunday afternoon. It's NFL seemingly all the time, every day now, and we are happy to be joined by Joel A. Erickson, who covers the Colts for the Indy Star, and as Mark was talking to him during the break there, might be Brewers fan number one. You might be number one on that fan list right there.
Number one in Indiana, I think.
Joel, reveal what you sent me the other day about your Brewers fandom.
Yeah, you're a sicko.
The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel put out a Sporkle quiz, and they said, can you name all 55 people who have played for the Brewers this season? And I got 54 right.
Whoa.
I mean, Joel, you strike me as a wonderful husband, a wonderful father, but damn, man, your wife's got to look in the mirror right now. Unbelievable. 54 of 55?
Were you mad you didn't get the one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was furious. Drew Avens. I remember I remember the sac fly he hit in the one game he played.
See, sicko.
Are you old school like me? You still look at the box scores every day?
I don't. I mean, yes, but I watch so many games that I kind of know the box scores. For being honest.
I've sat behind Joel where he has done the scorebook during a day game. You know, he has the scorebook and he just sits there in his lap like he's 74 years old at Wrigley on a day game. Joel, good luck.
Real quick, Joel, if your team were to get eliminated in the playoffs, are you wearing another team's shirt the next day and just riding with them to the World Series?
Well, now you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say I'm riding with anyone.
You're wearing a Joe Madden Cubs shirt this morning.
Joel, again, you strike me as a wonderful husband, wonderful father. I consider you a friend. I am literally supporting my friend Mark Dykton today. I am trying to be a good friend. I would imagine today's stressful. You just got shut out. You had a chance to move on, maybe face a team of note to Joel A. Erickson in the next round, and instead you have to face elimination today. So I would consider today a stressful time to be a fan, and so I am simply supporting Mark Dykton with a try not to suck Joe Madden glasses shirt.
And considering Kevin's track record of sports teams in the year of our Lord 2025, with Notre Dame getting smoked in the national championship, the Pacers,
shot.
Yeah, that was not necessary at all. I think you would love for your Cubs to be one of two standing here.
We've got Speedo bets that have fallen flat because every time Kevin puts chips in on a team, they fall flat. So I'm a bit nervous today.
Shut the hell up.
That's the elimination game. Baseball playoff nerves coming out of Mark Dykton right there. You lash out in all directions.
Yep, it's so true.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to. You know what? I'll be the bigger man, Joel. I'm not going to hold him to this standard on October 2nd. We'll just move on.
Did you clone me or something? I'm like, this is totally what I would do. But man, you are on troll 1,000 right now.
James
Did
Boyd
both of you just
rubbing off on me?
Essentially, give Mark a pass by saying, "Hey, do you know what he's going through today?"
Yeah. Well, he's gonna... Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Baseball playoffs are hell.
I know. Trust me. There's part of me that's glad it's over. I never got to the stressful period. It was like, well, if that runner gets on and then that batter does this and then maybe you can cut the deficit to 3 and, I never got to the stressful
Well, and if the Cubs do lose, Joel, a couple training camps ago, I think Kevin wore one of your Brewers shirts. He's going to need that again because he's going to jump on the Brewers bandwagon.
I'm a little nervous if I could fit in that.
We'll have to nickname him Bernie for the remainder of the playoffs if that happens.
That was quite the stressful day for me rocking that shirt. Joel A. Erickson from the Star with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. I believe it's upcoming. We tweeted we teased it a little bit earlier, Joel. Coming to Indy Star here in the next day or so. Could you let our audience in on where you consume the first half of Colts-Rams on Sunday? Not because of the jug of beer.
It wasn't Colts-Rams. I was at SoFi for all of Colts-Rams, but the early games.
Sorry.
The early games. I spent the early games at Fox Studios in Los Angeles with Mike Pereira, who I think most fans know as the the guy who explains what the refs are thinking and sometimes tells us when they're wrong. In the command center at Fox Studios. It was pretty cool. It was very, very cool. Also, there's way more going on there than I ever realized.
Can you elaborate? Yeah.
So you see Pereira come on, once or twice a game, maybe. I know he was on in the Colts game the other day. They see every call in every game somehow. There's 4 guys in the command center. They are all kind of looking at all these different screens. There's one specifically for Pereira that they put big calls on, but then there's also like 8 screens to the sides of that where they can see the other games. And you would think they would miss stuff. They don't miss anything. They see like holds and false starts in a tiny screen, and you're not paying attention to it. And then the other thing I think that sticks out is just a lot of what Pereira does, more of what Pereira does than coming on screen and telling us what happens, is he will reach forward and press a little button that goes to the producer to whichever city and just kind of say what the call is. Like, hey, that's a hook and hold right there. That's why they called that pass interference or that hold. And then when you're watching a game and you hear a broadcaster give you an explanation of a rule, a lot of times that's Pereira talking through the producer. So it's way more involved than I ever thought. I had the headset on for a little while listening to all the producers come into the ear. I don't know how you do that without going crazy. It was really cool. It was a really, really neat thing to do.
So how many people are actually in that room, and what are the discussions like when they are kind of picking over a call there?
Well, it's really fast. That's the first of all. There's 4 of them. There's Pereira, there's their rules analyst, and then there's 2 producers. And it has to be really fast. Like one of the calls, he was doing he was serving as the rules analyst for the Europe game, and it was right after I walked in, and I timed it on my recorder. The play happened, and 1 minute and 56 seconds later, Pereira has to be on, knowing exactly what he thinks about the call, without having, the 16 camera angles that they have in New York. They only have the live broadcast angle. So a lot of it is really fast, where they're like, one guy is suggesting, hey, did he get his feet in? And the other guy is saying, did he bobble it? And then you have Pereira answering that stuff along with the other rules analysts, and then they're suggesting more stuff, and then they're going, okay, we need a camera angle for this. Hey, we need Mike on. Okay, we've got Mike ready, but he hasn't seen a replay yet where he can see anything yet. So hold on. And then boom, he's on TV, and then he's off, and then you're going right back to the next game if it's a multi-game situation. That's the other thing. I was only there on a day when they had 2 Fox games in the early window. He said the week before that they had 5 Fox games in the early window. And he's helping all of those producers and all of that broadcast talent understand the rules all at once.
So basically, Joel, all I'm hearing is that you didn't have the guts to walk in there and tell them, hey, this call that ruined my team years ago, you should have been there to correct this. Because I feel like every fan in America would love the opportunity to tell him, you know what? Bleep, 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 that replay, whatever your interpretation of it was, that was a catch. So,
well, the interesting thing is that Pereira knows the rule book so well that a lot of times if you're watching the broadcast, you kind of you'll hear and you'll see it. I mean, I know, James, you've seen it a ton in Colts games where like they'll make a call and then a bunch of fans will say, hey, Mike Pereira or whoever, the ref on the broadcast said that this was the wrong call. And that's interesting too, because some of their rules knowledge, like hearing him and Steve Strimling talk through the rules as they're going was wild, because they're like getting into stuff that I never consider. And he said, another big part of what they do is educating the broadcasters, because they can't, the broadcasters, James, me, Kevin, we can't be expected to understand rule. He said you can't be expected to understand a rule book that I've been reading literally for decades.
It's Joel Erickson from the Indianapolis Star. That'll be up on the Star's website, hopefully, in the next day or so. Looking forward to that full piece.
Yeah, Joel, get to work.
From Joel.
Oh, no, it's done. Indiana sports scene will not quit.
Yes.
We keep looking for a place to let it go, and something keeps happening.
Well, speaking of quitting, Xavier Howard, that news yesterday, retiring from the NFL. I mean, I was sitting there on a platter. Unlike the Reds, I'm actually going to hit the ball there.
Speaking of quitting.
Joel, let's start there with, I asked James Boyd this to lead off the show. Of course, we didn't see Howard at practice yesterday. It was listed as a personal matter. I didn't catch him in the locker room either. You guys did, I think, see him in the locker room after Sunday's game. Did you get, I don't know, did you get any vibe that this was even a possibility?
After the Denver game, when we got him on the Monday after, I thought that there was a difference in the interviews. He was a little bit hard to get. I think, the Colts PR staff did a really good job making sure he didn't, kind of escape on us.
He tried to leave. He didn't want to talk to us.
Yeah, and I, he'd been pretty candid about his play, and we kind of had to pull it out of him a little bit on Sunday. So I don't know that I thought retirement was a possibility at this point, but I do think I got the vibe that like that one got to him a little bit more.
And then when you look at their options at cornerback, Joel, where do you go from here? Because Xavier Howard had been a starter throughout the first 4 games of this season. And so when you look at Mekhi Blackmon, Jonathan Edwards, Jalen Jones could possibly return next week. How are you kind of ranking your pecking order in that regard?
Well, this game, Anarumo likes to play the matchups. And this game against the Raiders, I think, kind of sets up as a Mekhi Blackmon game because the Raiders' number 2 receiver so far this year has been Trey Tucker, and he's a burner. He's a guy who's going to go deep. That's what Mekhi Blackmon has been, essentially that's the role he's been playing all season. So I kind of figure you get Blackmon. We saw a lot of Blackmon when Ward missed the second game of the season. I do think you'll see a little bit more Jonathan Edwards. And he did have a pass breakup in his 3 snaps he got the other day, and it was a nice one. At some point you kind of have to do that, but really I think the long-term answer this season is get Jalen Jones fully healthy, get him in this defense, and give him a chance because we've seen Jalen Jones play like a starting cornerback in the NFL, and as long as you can get that hamstring to the point where he can really play on it, I think that's the answer. That's the answer we thought it was going to be all season before some of the injuries kind of messed with him. But I think that's the real answer for this team is your best shot is probably Jalen Jones.
Joel A. Erickson, the Indy Star, joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. What's your sense of what the wide receivers are going to look like when the official rosters are announced before the game on Sunday?
It is interesting that Shane Steichen said we'll see how the week goes when asked about, A.D. Mitchell's availability. Alec Pierce being in a blue jersey yesterday is a good sign for him playing against the Raiders. Typically that means they're in the last step of the 5 steps of the concussion protocol, which puts him in a spot where you're just waiting on the independent neurologist to evaluate. It's where Ward was 2 weeks ago, and he ended up playing in that Titans game. So it probably looks good for Pierce playing. A.D. Mitchell, I think, is the real question mark, and it's very interesting that Shane Steichen keeps saying, we'll see how the week goes in terms of Mitchell playing. If he does play, if Pierce is back, he's back to like a 10 to 12 snap roll at most.
Would you sit him, Joel?
Based on like what I think what I got from the coaches and players about how much they've emphasized this after the Taylor mistake last year, I think probably yes, you have to. Because I don't know how you felt, James, but I got the impression talking to Mitchell that part of what he was going through was knowing that they've said this over and over again. I think when we asked the question about, is this something Shane's emphasized, I think before the question was even out, he was already saying, letters and logos, letters and logos.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those listening, letters and logos means that Shane was basically telling them to run through the end zone where the letters and logos of the team are painted. And so, yes, you are correct, Joel. When we were talking to AD, we didn't even ask that question before he mentioned it himself, which I had to follow up and say, what does that even mean? So along those lines, as we pivot away from Xavier Howard and A.D. Mitchell in this conversation, how would you assess Daniel Jones? I know you've been all over this, I think this week, trying to asking him and the coach, what went into your turnovers? How do you bounce back from them? How would you assess his performance and then perhaps the ability to bounce back against the Raiders?
I think part of it is just I think part of it is just they've got to do a better job protecting him. He's done a good job under pressure this year, but I do think that when the pressure is as consistent as it was on Sunday, it speeds the quarterback up or makes them a little bit uncertain. I think the other thing, and no one has said this is just kind of me watching him over the course of the season. If he's going to throw the deep ball, it has to get out early. It can't be a later ball in the progression. He's got to get it out early so the receiver can go under it. I thought that Mitchell throw was open when he let it go, but he doesn't necessarily have it doesn't seem like he has the arm strength to drive it to where it needs to go. So I think you can be successful throwing the ball down the field doing that. You just have to get it out early. And when we've seen him be successful getting the ball down the field, it's usually when he knows where he's going with it and lets it go early in the route and then lets the receiver run under it and make a play on the ball. That's where, Alec Pierce helps a ton because Pierce is so good when the ball's in the air at aggressively attacking it and going to get the football.
Joel, I know we've kept it for a while today, and we appreciate that. But before we go, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, from your perspective, what should we know and be talking about with Shaq Leonard and the announcement of his retirement and him banging the anvil this Sunday?
So I don't know I don't know the reception you guys have gotten. I think on social media you get a little bit of, oddly, a little bit of some stuff where people are like, why is this a big deal? He was on the way to being in the Hall of Fame. Like, he was an incredible player. I think to me, Shaq Leonard is an ultimate what if type of story. Like, what if he'd been healthy his whole career? Because even in 2021, he forced a bunch of turnovers, but that was the start of him realizing that there was something wrong with the nerve in his back. At the time, they thought it was his leg, but that was the start of the injury, was that season. I remember we had interviews with him where he said, I can't react the way I used to. I want to explode, and my leg isn't doing it. So really, you only got 4 years, and really it was 3 years of healthy Leonard. And I think that's to me is he goes down as, and this franchise, like a lot of franchise, has a lot of these types of players. But to me, that's how I look at him is what if he hadn't gotten hurt? What if he hadn't had a spinal injury? Because he was really, really good. And really, really unique as a player when he was playing. People don't realize this, I don't think, but statistically speaking, turnovers are not something that are replicated easily year over year. They're just not. There's a few guys in the history of the NFL who've been able to make them consistent, and he's one of them.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck in the baseball playoffs this weekend. We'll see how things go for you.
54 of 55 Brewers.
Oof, that's impressive.
You couldn't get the guy with the big beard.
Yeah, Drew Avens. Drew Avens going to haunt me.
Have a good one, Joel. Thanks.
We'll see ya.
There you go. You had to give him one last rib on the way out. It's amazing.
He is an absolute legend. I love him.
Mark, how you feeling? Any better or worse after that whole exchange?
Well, I feel fine. I'm totally
Apparently
fine.
not, because you're just lashing out at everyone for unexpected
it's
reasons.
Just Kevin's clearly.
He is. I thought Joel painted the accurate picture there. Mark is feeling the high testosterone and intensity level that comes with a day like this as a fan, which is fine. I'm not feeling that, and so I will accept it.
Why do you have this shirt? Can I ask that question? Where did that come from?
If I have to feel the brunt of it, Mark, I will take it on. That's called being a supportive friend.
Where did you buy this shirt from?
Did you steal that?
No, I did not steal it.
Did you get it from a guy in a parking lot?
No, I did not. That was what was that called? The Plot Rickens?
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot I have that shirt. That's a good fall shirt. It's kind of a thick material. I might need to rock that soon. Shout out to friend Jack Lupo. Used to work for the Chicago Cubs. And
add him to your list, Mark.
Delivered this shirt to me several years ago. Forgot it was in the closet. Was thumbing through the closet last night, and I thought to myself, you know what? Mark Dykton needs my support, and I'm going to be a good friend. I picked it up before the Reds game even happened.
It's funny how he had amnesia all that time, Mark, and then he, just happened to
remember it
the
then.
Yeah.
You have a conspiracy theory about everyone. You know that?
Oh, I think Kevin's a liar right now.
Yeah,
but hey, I mean that's what we're doing.
I'm with you, Jeff. I cannot be more Team Jeff right now.
I mean, I'm just saying, if the shoe's on the other foot, you wouldn't catch me dead in a Reds gear, Brewers gear, Cardinals. I'll gladly take it on the chin. If the Cubs lose, bring it on. But Never.
Shows you
Never
the type
once.
of friend you are.
I'm authentic. I'm my true self.
What happens if one of your daughters grows up like a Cardinals fan?
Oh, no, they were already asking, like, my daughter's watching the game with me yesterday and stuff, and she's like, so you root for the Cubs and stuff. She's like, are there teams we don't like? I'm like, oh,
Let me tell you.
Sit down. I'm going to spin you a yarn
Grab a
here.
crayon.
Do you have 3 hours?
Yeah, because she saw the Packers uniform one time. She's like, those jerseys are gross. I'm like, I've raised you right. They are gross.
I will say it's funny when I think parents do that to their children. I watched the video, I want to say it was on TikTok, where it looked like the man and the woman had just had a newborn son, and they put him in the Bills Mafia gear, and they had like a little table set up, and they like broke the table with the baby, and like it's like he's been initiated into
Baptized
the fandom.
as a Bills fan.
So I'm like, there's no way that kid who knows nothing about sports.
They immediately gave him a beer bong right after that, too. All right.
I want the Bills to win it all this year. That would just be so great for their fan base.
It would. I mean, Josh Allen, he's also a very likable dude. I think so, but football's cruel sometimes, so we'll see how it looks at the end. I feel like God has been very unkind to some Bills fans.
All right, let's check things down and let you know what's going on.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Turning our attention to Sunday, and the Colts get back on the field trying to shake off that loss to the Rams. They'll be at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. That one kicks off at 1 o'clock. Airtime on the drive to kickoff with JMV from the Bullseye Event Center starts at 9. Then we'll have the pregame for you, then the game itself. And what's the injury situation looking like as we sit here Thursday morning, Kevin Bowen?
Well, good news on Alec Pierce, good news on Matt Gonzalez. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. Pierce, blue jersey, full participation yesterday. Gonzalez was limited, but anytime you practice on a Wednesday, you typically have a good shot to play that Sunday. And if that is indeed the case, your starting offense will then have been together for 4 of the first 5 games, which, that's pretty rare. Defensively, still no Kenny Moore. I think the expectation was multi-week injury for him there. Isaiah Franklin, that's kind of a rare miss of a Wednesday, and he was out with an ankle, which, again, he had off-season surgery on the ankle now. No boot or anything. He was watching practice, so I don't think too alarming, but still, just something to keep an eye on.
All right, and there was news of retirements yesterday. We've been talking about it with Joel A. Erickson. First of all, Xavier Howard took all the suspense out of what are they going to do with cornerback as badly as he's been roasted the first couple of weeks. He just took care of the problem himself, James Boyd.
Yep, walked away from football, said that was it, put out a statement saying he had gotten used to spending more time with his kids last year when he was out of the NFL, wants to get back to that, but I would be lying to myself if I did not think that part of the reason he made this decision right now as opposed to before the season started or later on was because how poorly he played through his first 4 games with the Colts. That was pretty forgettable.
And especially for a guy that for the bulk of his career was an excellent football player. Not good. He was an excellent football player.
Yeah, 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, and I believe since he entered the NFL in 2016, he has the second most interceptions during that span with 29. So a guy who led the league in interceptions, big plays, it just wasn't there anymore for him, and I think that was very clear this past Sunday against the Rams.
Also, we spoke about this with Joel A. Erickson a moment ago. Kevin, retirement for officially now Shaq Leonard, and he'll be honored on Sunday.
Yeah, part of the festivities on Sunday, and I find it fitting, although you could probably say this for a lot of teams with Shaq Leonard. I feel like he iced a Raiders game at some point in his career with a huge fourth-quarter turnover. So, yes, he will be banging the anvil Sunday pregame, and then he will be honored at halftime, speaking to the crowd. And I've said this all morning long, but I think it's cool. Not everybody can or needs to go into the Ring of Honor, but also at the same time, players like Shaq Leonard deserve to be celebrated. And, look at the Xavier Howard thing. There can be awkward endings to guys' careers. Not everybody can just ride off into the sunset with the team that they played for their entire careers. The Leonard thing ended awkwardly mid-season, and so for him to have this moment, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if he had a long enough Colts career to be in the Ring of Honor, and so I don't know if that's going to happen. But if it did, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad. If it happened someday, it wouldn't bother me.
My only gripe with the Ring of Honor, because I'm in any argument, any league, any sport, I'm usually like a peak guy. What was your peak and how long it was? It was kind of short for Shaq, but I mean, how many players in franchise history were 3-time first-team All-Pro? it probably wasn't many. And so I say that knowing that Jim Harbaugh is in the Ring of Honor. So I'm like,
James, the crowd is in the Ring of Honor.
That's what I'm saying.
The Colts
so I'm like,
were so bad
like,
as a franchise at one point, they had to put the crowd in the Ring of Honor.
So,
nothing says you stink as a football franchise for a period of time as saying, let's put the 12th man into the Ring of Honor.
So when people tell me like, oh, he hasn't done enough, and I'm like, okay, well then do you go back and retroactively get rid of some guys because the standard that you had wasn't that high in my eyes. But either way,
hell of a football player doesn't need to be in the Ring of Honor.
Fair enough.
All right, Major League Baseball last night. The season ended for the Cincinnati Reds. They started
Reds
off with a 2-0
dead.
lead. Thank you. In the first inning, but then they were overcome by just too much Dodgers again and again and again. Although they lose 8-4. But in the top of the eighth, they did have the bases loaded, 2 out. TJ Friedel was at the plate. Just didn't work out, Kevin.
Backwards, K. I think Marcus played the audio. The Reds are officially dead. Rick Carlisle's thoughts on the Reds and their playoff appearance this year?
Well, it was fun while it lasted.
That'll never get old.
Would you laugh if the Colts put up a picture of Xavier Howard on the Jumbotron and had that audio behind it pregame on Sunday? Would you laugh or no? Is that
I think a lot
too
of people
much?
would be confused. I'd laugh.
I'd probably laugh at it.
That bite with Rick will never get old. Ever.
The pause after the whelp is so good.
It was fun while it lasted.
It's right up there with the Rats one. No disrespect to Rats. Just so good.
As a guy who looks like Jim Carrey, it is funny when Rick Carlisle was funny.
No disrespect to Rats.
He's the best. Also yesterday, the Padres shut out the Cubs 3-0, and that has Mark on edge today.
I'm fine.
You're just
It's
lashing out at everyone all morning long.
Boy,
Kevin's just jumping
I'm
on
glad
the
with you,
bandwagon.
man. This dude is a fraud.
I'm glad I'm here to support you today, Dan, because I don't know
Never
where
asked
you'd
for
be.
your support for
I
the
know.
Cubs ever.
2 fraudulent peas in a pod.
First
Jeff
pitch
Rickard and
until
Kevin
5
Bowen
o'clock.
are.
You got a long day. Pray for Ashley, folks, if you can fit her in today.
Put Kevin and Jeff against Joel Erickson to name Reds players versus Brewers players, and Joel has them beat by like 55 people.
Well, how many of the active roster players that the Cubs use this year could you name?
How many do you want me to go through right now?
All of them. That was the test for Joel Erickson.
It's not like we're 4 minutes over from getting a Jason Hammer.
I know.
Yeah.
Michael Bush, Ian Happ, Nico Horner,
All right.
Seiya Suzuki. Oh, that was
Let's
quick.
go
You
to-
pulled the ripcord on that one.
Well, do you want to talk to Jason Hammer or not?
You brought it up.
Uh-huh.
Stand your ground.
New York Yankees
Kyle
beat the Red
Tucker.
Sox 4-3. The Guardians
I'm
over the
picturing me
Tigers
with a popcorn
6-1.
gif, throwing the popcorn in, sitting ringside right now.
Shota Imanaga, Colin Ray.
3 games on the
Daniel
docket
Palencia.
today for Major
Carson
League
Kelly.
Baseball. At 3, Tigers, Guardians.
Michael Bush.
This is horrific
At 5,
radio.
Padres, Cubs, and at
Matt
8,
Shaw.
Red Sox, Yankees.
Kevin Alcantara.
Spin yourself in circles during the break here as we continue with Jason Hammer next. It's 93.5 and 107.5.
Jamison Tyon.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
That's like one of the all-time great intros right there. For Jason Hammer from WIBC, coming in here to make us all a little bit of money. You got to love that when Mark's pumping you up like that.
The Shane O'Mac theme, I like it. I could get with that. We had a pretty good week last week, okay? So we got the big game right on Thursday. That's 3-1 on the big game picks. We split the props, so we went 2 out of 3 last week. That's a winning week. We also gave you Michael Pittman of the Colts, plus 215 on an anytime touchdown. We cashed that bad boy. Woo. We had Kevin's Irish cover for us. Lost the Georgia bet, but all in all, it was a good week. And the policy around here is when I win, you win.
Yeah.
Come on. So look what we got here.
It's a black bag.
Hammer's big.
Is this drugs? What is this?
Bag of mystery.
Can you imagine seeing that at your trick-or-treating neighborhood? Honey, stay on this side of the sidewalk.
He's got some Mondo for you, Kevin.
So take one, pull it out, pass it around the board here. It's a little something to celebrate.
Man,
oh boy.
Some cash money.
Oh boy.
I was about to say, oh man.
Put your hand in my big bag,
Mama.
James.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pass that over to Mark and KB. And honestly,
Man.
I think the turning point last week was the pep talk that Kevin Bowen gave me.
Thank you.
It was like that scene in Rudy where Rudy was down on his luck. And then the janitor.
What you doing here? Don't you have practice? Not anymore. I quit. Well, since when are you the quitting kind?
Wow.
I just don't see the point anymore. So you gotta make the dress look. Come on. Come on.
That's fantastic. Now, I wasn't sure you were going to recite that, but I made a backup plan. Just in case you didn't feel comfortable doing that, here to recap what happened last week and what he goes through on a daily basis here at The Fan, please welcome back AI Kevin Bowen.
Look, it's pretty bad. I have to motivate your big, fat Beech Grove face to do a good job, but it's par for the course for me around here. I carry this station, and what reward do I get? I'm in a studio with all guys. It looks like the worst fraternity on an all-male campus. Oh, and I have my boss in here. Maybe if I'm lucky, he'll wear his tight, sweaty spandex shorts he wears for biking, exposing his old man crotch.
Maybe.
As for everyone else in here, I still don't know James' last name, and Mark just smells like a poor person.
Maybe.
Whatever. Just get on with this segment. This delay is taking away time I could be talking about golf and being better than people. AI Bowen, out!
I think I pretty much encompassed Kevin Bowen to a T, right?
Wow.
The golf-loving elitist that is Kevin Bowen.
Oh, man.
I feel like we captured that, didn't we?
So
wow.
I'm sitting here,
Wow.
when we have Jason Hammer in for these segments, I give up my seat to Jason Hammer.
Yes.
Tell us how you really feel, Mark.
I walk over
Kevin, I'm sorry.
I walk over here, and Mark Tykes and I share a mic, and we share a headset, and all of a sudden I hear Jason Hammer say to Mark, do you have the audio clip that I sent you?
No, Lord.
You knew what was coming, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Man.
Hammer, you're so good at that.
Oh, thank you. It's not creepy if it's funny. That's what we go with.
AI Kevin Bowen, to be abundantly clear to everyone out there. Okay, let's get us going tonight.
Or so he says.
AI Kevin Bowen every week.
See, I got beef with this AI Bowen guy.
James who?
As long as we're
James
making
who?
money.
Right.
Tonight we've got the divisional game with a touchdown underdog.
Yeah, man, this one tonight, so many injuries on the 49ers side and a short week, too. But the Niners always play the Rams really well and vice versa. It's one of these games where it's usually close. But with the injuries, I'm kind of out on a side. So let's look at this total here. Depending on which book you're using, shop around, find the best number. I'm seeing the over-under at around 45. Some spots might have it at 44, 44 and a half. I saw 45. So we're going to ride the under on this one. Hold your nose and take the under tonight. Each of the Rams' last 5 games as home favorites, it's gone under. 49ers, decent defensively at times. Divisional matchup. They know the Rams. They're beat up. So we're going to, again, I hate being under guy here. You hate rooting for punts. But I think under is the play on this one. Short week, injuries, go under 45.
I like that. I like that a lot for all the reasons you said. And I'm just really worried about how many points the Niners can score in this game tonight, as much as anything.
And the Rams, as much as Stafford passes for big yardage and you see Nakua have these video game-like numbers, it's not like they're putting 40 on the board either. Like, they get down the field, but sometimes they struggle in the red zone. So our prop bets that we're going to do tonight, we're going to look at Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. Somebody is going to have to touch the football for the 49ers. It's probably McCaffrey. We're going to go over 54.5 receiving yards for McCaffrey tonight. If you look at his targets in every game, just targets, 10, 7, 15, and 11. And his yardage every game, 73, 52, 88, and 92 receiving yards. So we're going to take that over tonight, whether it's Purdy, whether it's Mac Jones. I can't see them doing anything but dinking and dunking. So let's ride out McCaffrey. And if you want some plus money, if you want to get a little nuts tonight, Devontae Adams, anytime touchdown for the Rams. You can get that around plus 125. It's not huge, but it's plus money. 9 red zone targets so far. Leads the NFL in red zone targets. Doesn't lead in catches in the red zone, but they're looking for him in the red zone. That's all I'm asking for at plus money.
All right, that's where we're at. And let's go into the little gifts that you gave us here. It's Old Smoky, like mini bell jar full of, I'm guessing, spirits.
Moonshine. Yeah. White Lightning,
yeah.
Commercial shine. Now, when I say shine, like the purists get all upset, it's not really shine unless some hillbilly in a mountain makes it and then passes it to you in an unmarked jar. But the best you can get store-bought, probably Old Smoky, right? So, on behalf of the winning week last week and my birthday, which is today. We are going to celebrate, everybody. Crack one of these bad boys open.
Man.
Here's to making so much money we can buy our way out of any situation and buy any politician. Cheers, everybody.
Go.
I don't drink, so I'll let you all have
Jason
that
Hammer
one.
on the air, man.
Oh, wow. You are, yeah. Having a great birthday so far.
It was gone. That was a breath, and it was gone.
That is electric by Jason Hammer.
That's an elite talent right there.
I've done that before.
That is a mic drop right there.
If we can gamble like that, well, hell, we might be, we might be retiring with a beachfront home in Beach Grove.
So Hammer, what does the rest of the birthday entail? Any birthday bet, any birthday props you're throwing out there? You're just feeling a little too good today to pass up?
So we're going to have to maybe do a little baseball parlaying. I'm not a parlay guy. You guys know that. I think they're sucker bets, but it's my birthday. So let's ride a little lightning here. Maybe looking at the Guardians, Cubs, and Yankees. Do a little money line, those
home
3.
Team action there?
Okay. Home team.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Man, happy birthday. Degenerates next door. You and Rob Kendall. We've already got the college football pod out, NFL pod later today. Is that correct?
That's right. Around 1 o'clock this afternoon, we'll break down the game of the week, which it's kind of a dud slate in the NFL this week. We looked at Tampa Bay and Seattle probably as the game of the week, so we'll pick that. We have professional gamblers that come on. We make them give out free plays. They'll pick that, and we'll have some more props too.
Have the lowest over-under in the NFL this season in London. That is 35 points. Vikings and Browns. Carson Wentz, Dylan Gabriel. Nothing says international football like that.
I feel like they always get the worst games.
They do.
Right?
Like, just,
it's awful.
Here is, teams in the league.
Jacksonville, so.
A couple years ago, I can't remember what it was. It was some horrible game in Germany, and somebody said, what have the Germans done to deserve this game? And then everybody took a pause. It was like, well,
that might not be the best line. Yeah.
On the other side.
We'll get into that.
Jason, happy birthday. Have a good day.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's win tonight. Let's go.
Happy birthday, Hammer.
There you go. The Hammer has spoken, and we'll continue to wrap this thing up with those of us who are still standing after that. That's up next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
James, how do we recover from AI Kevin Bowen after that? That's what I want to know. How do we do that? How do we move on?
I got beef with every version of this Kevin guy. I'm just saying. You got Kevin, the regular co-host. You got Kevin who randomly finds the shirt that he forgot about to wear to troll Mark. And then you have AI Kevin who might be the rudest of them all.
Thoughts?
No trolling here.
No.
It's called You've Got a Friend in Me. God. You've got a friend in me.
Oh, congratulations, Mark Dykton.
Supporting Mark Dykton on a day of fandom that probably has to rank up there with any stressful day of the entire fandom year for you, Mark.
Don't you look forward to these types of games?
Of course. Sure.
What's worse?
But that's what being a fan's about.
Being excited for Game 3 or not being in the playoffs.
The high level of stress of are we moving on or is it over? Hey, exactly what you want. It doesn't mean it's not stressful. So, again, I'm here to put my arm around him. Scratch his back.
What's the day look like for you as you get ready for this contest this afternoon?
Get out of work, pretty much the same old thing, and then just plop down at 5 and say, sorry, kids, we're watching baseball. Go watch Disney Plus in the other room.
Set them up with Disney Plus and some
Parenting
crayons.
101 right there, right, Mark?
Good.
Although they've been watching a lot of Dennis the Menace, like the 1993 movie.
I love Dennis the Menace.
That movie's great.
Do you guys still have the camera from the other room? You can keep an eye on the kids all the time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I can always hear them, too. They're not too far away.
My parents said that, like, if you don't hear your kids, something went wrong.
Mm-hmm. Or they're doing something bad.
Eerily quiet. Why is it so quiet? Why can't we hear anything?
It was awfully quiet the one day, and I went around the corner. Two of them had a bucket filled with water on the carpet. They're just like trying to do like a Barbie like hot tub or something. Like, no. We're dumping that bad boy out. I don't know what you think you're doing.
One time at his grandma's, my youngest, Grant, was probably about 2.5, maybe 3. And we come around the corner, and there's these stairs that go up. There's a little platform, and then they turn the opposite way and continue to go up. And on that landing, he had some lipstick, and he had been drawing on the carpet on that lipstick. And he got caught, and the first thing he looked up and he said, I couldn't help it. My brain made me do it.
That's a great line.
That is a great line. I'm just trying to picture in my head how that would have played out in my household. Parents would not have been too kind.
This is the same kid who I tried to get him in trouble one time. It was right before Christmas, and he just was acting up. And so I sat him on time out on the bottom stair, and I called my dad, and I said, Santa Claus. And I looked up back over at him. When I put my hand over the phone, and he heard me say Santa Claus, and I looked at him, and I said, what am I supposed to tell him? What am I going to tell Santa Claus? The kid looked at me without missing a beat, right in the eyes, and said, pointing at me, don't tell him anything, in that exact tone. We're off and running.
One Colts news item before we exit here on this Thursday morning. We did see an addition to the practice squad as a corner. So when Xavier Howard retired and that announcement happened yesterday, the Colts filled that roster spot by promoting a safety, Trey Washington, who spent the entire offseason with them, undrafted free agent safety. Daniel Scott, one of their depth safety guys, was hurt yesterday. So for those curious, are they going to add a corner? Stephon Gilmore, this and that. For this week, it's in-house guys. Again, they added an undrafted corner to the practice squad, so can't imagine he will impact coming up on Sunday. So you will be looking at a corner group likely without Kenny Moore II, assuming he doesn't practice today. That doesn't have Xavier Howard, so it'll be a very patchwork group. And as James pointed out earlier in the show, we're still a week away from Jalen Jones. That's the route I would go in the future. Whenever Jalen Jones is healthy, I'd like to see him back in the starting lineup, back trying to offer a little bit of stability to that position. I think he's earned that. I know in Lou Anarumo's eyes, it wasn't going great for him this offseason, but that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I'll probably have to tell Lou, hey, by the way, the last guy you chose literally walked away from the game of football, so maybe I'll make a decision here if I'm Shane Steichen and say, you start him. And I think Lou will be on board with that, considering the experience that Jalen Jones has over the other guys in that room.
We'll find out what happens today at Colts camp. The Fever with their exit interviews today. Going to be interesting to see what Caitlin Clark has to say when the topic of the WNBA work stoppage and labor division comes around and their commissioner at the WNBA. We'll talk